Morning,
Morning,
everybody. Paul, I will say, just for future reference, unless they're in the Twitch chat room, they can't see your comments, and they don't see all the old ones until they come in. Just for what it's worth.
I think. How many turnovers in the Rams-Bears game? Because there were 17 turnovers in the first 3 games this weekend. So we had as many turnovers. Okay. 4? Oh, yeah, the last interception.
Yeah, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Martin Luther King Jr. holiday and Overreaction Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Hold on one second. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. I come at you from Boston, where it's sleeting, and it's 29 degrees, and that's only 4 degrees colder than it is in Jacksonville this morning, and I think it's only about a dozen degrees colder than the 239 this morning.
It's still chilly. Pants, socks, shirt, sweatshirt.
Yep.
But I had to take it off. It's warm in the studio, David, but I'm letting it be known right now.
Oh, look
there
at
it
that.
Is. Circa 1990, that sucker.
Uh-oh.
That's when they were to you back then, and they're trying to be to you tonight.
We've got a natty tonight. I've only got 4 football games left, folks, and one of them's tonight, so rest up if you need to.
Yeah, there's a nap in my future today. I'm already planning. I mean, when you wake up and you're getting ready for work, and you and I both get up a lot earlier, particularly you, than you want to. But, you know, when 4:30 hits and you're waking up and the first thing you're thinking of post-shower is, what time am I going to take my nap today?
I called down.
You might be old.
Right.
To steal a line.
Called down to the front desk about 40 minutes ago and asked, did we check out at 11 or 12? And they said 12. And I'm like, yes, that means a nap. That means a nap after the show. That's outstanding.
Well, another really solid weekend of football. 1 blowout game, 1 really ugly game, and 2 amazing games.
Yep.
At least, you know, one I would call amazing. The other, one of the more amazing finishes you'll see.
Without question. Without question. Well, you know, the 2025 Bears weren't just going to go quietly, uneventfully into the good night. They were going to go dramatically, compellingly. Oh, my goodness, what just happened? That's the 2025 Bears.
Yeah, I mean, when my wife screams out loud on the couch, something amazing happens. And usually it's with the two of us. But you're right. The Bears were not going to go quietly into the night. They did not, but they came up short. Denver wins in overtime, but the loss that they received, obviously more critical than anything else. The Patriots are back, and oh no, for those of us that don't want to deal with Patriot fan, they are out. I saw one logoed shirt at 8:30 Sunday at church. It was a Patriot shirt. You know, the gear is bad. They're brushing off the old gear, like the Miami Hurricane sweatshirt that I showed you from 1990. They're getting their old gear out, David. The Pats fan is getting their old gear out. And, well, the mash unit that was the Niners, it was just too much. It started early, and it just kept going and going as Seattle just destroyed San Francisco.
And by early, you mean the opening kickoff, right?
Yes, I do.
Right. So, Mark, all I know is that with the injury to Bo Nix and Denver having to turn to a very inexperienced backup quarterback in the AFC Championship game, it seems as if the Patriots have caught a big break. And that's good, Mark, because, it's a franchise that really hasn't had a whole lot go their way in the last 25 years. They haven't gotten many breaks. So it's good that the Patriots could, be on the receiving end of what appears to be, we'll see if it is, but appears to be a big break.
Funny you say that on the 24th. Wow. I'll get it out eventually, everyone. Thanks for listening. 24th anniversary of the Tuck Rule game.
Right. Mm-hmm. There was a method to the madness. Yes. Mm-hmm. But one road team won, which is the norm. And the Rams were that team. But 2 overtime games, a blowout, and an absolute mess. And I'm not talking about the weather for yesterday's Texans-Patriots game, in which it was actually better than I thought it was going to be. That was pretty much snow. We were led to believe it was going to be freezing rain.
Okay, because it looked, and thank you for clarifying, the first half in particular, the first quarter, as I'm watching, that looked like a mix of snow and rain, because I even made the comment to the people I was sitting with going, I picked the Texans. I think the Texans are going to win. I said, but for those fans having to sit 3.5 hours through that, if they have to go to their cars with the loss, that's going to stink, because that looked miserable.
It wasn't that cold, easy for me to say, only because there was no wind. So it wasn't, 30 degrees, snow, freezing rain, and then a 15-mile-an-hour wind on top of it.
So what you're telling me, it wasn't what I had to deal with on the back nine yesterday, because it was
right. There was no wind at all in the Texans-Patriots game. But did C.J. Stroud get paid by the turnover? Wow.
We can start wherever you want, but in particular with C.J. Stroud, I wanted to take him over Bryce Young. I don't remember which one. In fact, I think you were a Bryce Young guy, if memory serves me right. I think we're both wrong right now. But he came out gangbusters his rookie year.
His rookie year was amazing.
And he just keeps getting worse. Those are back-to-back performances that is tough to unsee. I mean, the Steelers game, they won in spite of him, and yesterday they lost because of him.
7 turnovers in 8 quarters in the playoffs when you've played in the playoffs before. This isn't new to you. I mean, yeah, I know you had a few things going against you. A lineman or two hurt against New England. You ended up a few plays in the game being down both of your top receivers because Nico Collins couldn't play, and then your best receiver, tight end Dalton Schultz, hurt his calf in the first quarter and couldn't play anymore. Okay. Doesn't that make it?
Doesn't matter. I mean, he missed guys by, 4 and 5 yards that were wide open. I mean, you saw it. You were there in person. It was ridiculous.
He threw at least 15 passes that were behind his receivers. I mean, I'm really hoping today, and I mean this, I am hoping today the Texans come out and say there's a broken bone in his hand, that there is something wrong. He played through an injury. We concealed it. Something to explain how bad he was. His decision-making was not good, but his accuracy was worse.
I happened to leave where I was late first half to get where I was going. I was kind of driving around yet. Not driving around, but I had things going on. So I'm listening to the national radio broadcast right before halftime. And they said he looked MIA. Their comments on radio were he doesn't even look like he knows where he's at right now, basically. I mean, bold, strong statements about how poor the play was.
Yeah.
Deer in headlights is an understatement of what he looked like out there.
And he apologized afterward. We had some emotional quarterbacks this weekend. Josh Allen to the podium in tears, taking blame for the loss. I mean, they did have 5 turnovers, and I think 4 of them were on him.
The fumbles bothered me more than anything else because they were reckless.
Yes.
They were reckless.
I would agree with that.
You know, interceptions happen, but those fumbles seemed reckless to me.
And then, of course, there was the play of the weekend. Didn't matter where you were talking about it. And you were talking about it still on Sunday before the games kicked off. Mark, I think we asked the question, is that a catch or an interception?
No doubt. No doubt. And I want to, say, I'd rather almost hold it off until after the break because I don't think we have enough time to truly get into it right now. But I definitely think that is the poll question for today. I think it is the question that will be discussed all day long on Sports Talk Radio nationally, in Buffalo, maybe not in Denver. They'll talk about Bo Nix's injury and what that means, and they'll just simply move on because they won the football game. But, man, oh, man, in a world where I guess it doesn't even matter the sport anymore, David, because we have instant replay in all of our sports now. And fans get sometimes upset at the length of time it takes to figure out what happened on a particular play. I'd like to think we were going to take that amount of time for a call that was going to determine the outcome of a game in the postseason. And it seemed as if the replay officials and the officials were content with just moving on. And of all the things out of that happened, that's the part of it I have the biggest problem with.
Well, so did Sean McDermott. And he talked about it afterwards. And he said, I took a timeout because I couldn't get anybody to tell me what was going on. And I don't think they took ample time to look at it after I called the timeout. And I still couldn't get anybody to talk to me and tell me what was going on. And he said the same thing. He goes, it's not a big deal or anything. It only determined the outcome of the game. And he goes, obviously, I disagree with the call, but just leave that aside. It's a big call. Can you take a moment and look at it? Can you come over and tell me what you saw? That's all.
Little different show today on Monday because Pat Kirwan will join us. He's got a lot going on, and this is the time of year we kind of move Pat's schedule around. But Pat, we'll talk with him about that at 8 o'clock. The starting 5, 25 minutes away. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With the newest slots, action-packed table games, sports betting, the hottest entertainment, and a variety of award-winning restaurants. Expect more with live craps, roulette, and blackjack 24/7. And over 1,400 of the most popular slot machines. This is the place where paradise never ends. This is Seminole Casino Hotel. Minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 plus slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
It's hard.
I've got 39 seconds of McDermott here if we want it coming out of break, David.
Who is it?
McDermott on the podium. You want to hear it? So you know which one it is?
I heard the first 3 seconds of it.
Okay, yeah.
It's hard for me to, and I've had a chance to look at. It's hard for me to.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Michael, it's hard to say you didn't get 3 big calls. Nance pointed out it was interference on the last drive by Buffalo. Now, the only thing people that they're missing is that there was a roughing the passer call on the first interference. That was a ticky-tack interference call, in my opinion. The second interference call was interference. That gave him the game. First one I didn't like, but they would have gotten 15 on the roughing the passer. Exactly, Ryan. Exactly. You're 100% right. People make too big of a deal out of that first one because they already had the roughing the passer. So you and I are on the same page.
What a boneheaded penalty by Bosa, by the way. I'm sorry, not a winning player. Did stupid things with the Chargers in that playoff game with Jacksonville 3 years ago. Did stupid things against Denver. It's not a winning player. I'd cut his ass.
By the way, David, you know, you didn't say anything, and I do appreciate it when we were talking before we were on air. I did say out loud that I'm in a fantasy golf league, and you just kind of let that go. So
I did. I did.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
It's a Monday morning. I just thought, you know, we'll emphasize the positive.
Now, in my defense, he had an NFL weekly pool. I won a week. It was like $50 for the weekly pool thing. I won a week, so you got $25 for that because it was all based on season. So he owed me 25. The golf was 50. I'm like, here's 25 more. Let's just play.
You can rationalize it however you want.
Thank you. I will say the funny thing was I'm picking I used a combination of some internet search and chat GPT for my team. I had guys on my team, David, I'm serious. This is a tour problem. I don't know who the hell they are. Matthew, I don't think you're wrong there. 53 yards and penalties on the final drive when they didn't call a lot of penalties for the entire game. I think that's a valid argument.
And it's a few people making the point that there was a blatant hold on Buffalo in the end zone, which should have been a safety. Here is something. The Broncos were the most penalized defense in the league this season. There wasn't a single call against the Denver defense during live play. The only penalties against Denver were offsides on their defense.
I mean, they had 3 penalties for 20 yards in the game.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. It's a Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. It's an Overreaction Monday. Pat Kirwan's schedule is such he needs to join us today instead of tomorrow. So we'll talk with Pat in a little less than 2 hours here on Miller and Moulton. Here's a couple of thoughts that I have about was it a catch or was it an interception? I'm being consistent when I say, to me, that's a catch. And here's what I mean by that. I don't know if people remember the Rams-Bucks game about midway through the season. I think it was Sunday Night Football. And Baker threw a pass on the right side by the numbers, and Cade Otton, quote, caught it. But I guess he only possessed it. And he's got the ball in both his hands high up by his helmet and even above his helmet. And he gets knocked to the ground. So both of his knees are on the ground. And he's still holding the ball up by his helmet. At which point, a couple of Rams guys wrestle the ball out of his hands and return it for a touchdown. To me, that was a catch and down by contact. And you could go back and check the tape. Bucks got blown out. I think they still get beat badly if it was ruled a catch and down by contact. But I said on this show on Monday, to me, that's a catch and down by contact. I was surprised by that. Now, that night, we're doing Monday Night Football. I forget where we were. And it was right after the show. We have our production meeting, and Russell York, who's been an NFL official, and he's a consultant with Big Ten officiating, and he's the Monday night official in the booth. And I said to him, and he goes, no, he didn't complete the catch. Okay. I see it differently. So when Russell York and I were talking yesterday, he goes, it's the same play. It's the same play. He didn't complete the catch. And I go, okay, that's how you see it. My point to him was this. Okay, the NFL is arguing that if there was no defensive back, that the Bills receiver would not have caught that ball, that he grabbed it, went to the ground, and he was in the process of losing it, and the DB took it away from him. I looked at Russell in the booth, and I'm saying to you, I think he catches it and possesses it if there's no DB there. That, to me, he caught it, fell to the ground, was touched, and then he ripped it out of his hands. Great play. It's what you're supposed to do. But sure enough, and I don't know how many of you watched the fourth quarter and overtime last night, But Mark, do you remember the Devontae Adams catch midway through the fourth quarter? Game's tied at 10, and Devontae runs an in, right? And Stafford hits him, and it's crowded, and Devontae catches it high, okay, is trying to tuck it in, but 3 defensive players hit him, and he goes to the ground. Knee touches the ground. To me, he's got the ball. He is down by contact. That's a catch. But he doesn't make it all the way to the ground with the ball because
before it's
he's
taken away from him. Right.
And what did they call last night? No, that's a catch and down by contact. And I'm like, oh, come on, guys. 28 hours earlier, it's a completely different call. Could you make, oh, well, he completed the catch here. He made a move. The hell he did. He made as much of a move as the Bills receiver did. Okay, come on now. Listen, to me, it's a catch and down by contact. But if it's not, then that should have been Bears ball. That's all I'm saying. And I was rooting for the Rams. Okay, I thought they were the better team. I want the better team to win when we get this far into the playoffs. And I'm a Stafford guy. But I'm sorry, after what I saw the day before, Mark, did you not see that replay and go, well, that's Bears ball?
Well, no, and only because of this, David. You know, the baseball analogy is tie goes to the runner. We all know it. Well, in football here in the last at least 2 seasons, David, this season and the one prior, we've now learned on that play with simultaneous possession, the ball goes to the offensive team. And when they're on the ground in the Buffalo-Denver game, at that time, he's on the ground with the ball. That should be a catch. At worst, it's simultaneous possession when they're down. So if that's the case, then the offensive player gets possession. This is what they've told us. That's the part. And as I'm texting with a couple of buddies, you know, they're screaming he's down. And where I was worried for them and why I thought they were not going to overturn it, I'm still stunned at the fact that they really didn't spend any time looking at it. They really didn't. Come on now. We all have to, whoever you were rooting for, whatever camp you were in, you had to be surprised at the lack of time that the NFL chose to look at that particular play. Listen, it was only the game.
When an NFL head coach has to call timeout to get an explanation and to say, have you guys even looked at this? I mean, then obviously it wasn't handled well.
But when they called an interception on the field, I didn't think they were going to overturn it. I didn't.
And that's fair. That's fair.
That was my exact text to the guys I was texting with. I'm like, they called this an interception, even when the timeout was called. But he should have never had to have called a timeout.
No,
that's the part. My biggest beef about this whole play is how nonchalantly the league took the play. I don't get it.
Listen, we joke it's a TV show, but they did handle that as if it's like, oh man, we're in overtime, we're running late, we're running into the Niners Seahawks, we got to move this thing along. It's like, no, the outcome is a little more important.
But not to mention, back to your phrase, it is a TV show. Do you know what the taking a look at it does? Adds more drama to the damn TV show.
I agree. Here's the other thing that struck me. And I do not base my opinion on anything based on what is posted on social media. I don't. I'm not a network TV executive. They base their opinions based on what you guys post on social media. I don't. It did strike me, however, how many current and former NFL players thought it was a catch and down by contact. That fascinated me. Both sides of the ball, too. Offense and defense. That in and of itself fascinates me. that it's like, wow, the guys who played think they know the rules, think they know what is what when they see it, and they're being told, no, you're wrong. And they're like, what do you mean I'm wrong? I played the game. That's a catch and down by contact. No, it's not. I will say I spoke to 4 officials. 4. 3 of the 4 said it's an interception. And they were quick and decisive, and they're like, absolutely. He didn't possess it through. Okay. Didn't, go through the ground and keep it. Nope, it's an interception. One of them thought it was down by contact.
Richard Seymour thought it was a catch. Remind me what position he played. Miller and Moulton, it's our poll question. I'm about to put it up. The play of the weekend was the interception catch play in the Buffalo-Denver game. What do you think? Was it an interception or was it a catch?
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Well, Johnny, it's not just that they lost. It's the way the Bills are losing in the playoffs that are just stunning, to be honest. It's like they're creating new ways to lose in the playoffs. At this rate, a Bills fan, I think, would love a Niners Seahawks loss. It'd be like, oh, well, good. I don't have to get too broken up about this. We're not the better team. We wouldn't have gone any further in the playoffs, you know. But every Bills loss, seemingly, in the last 5, anyway, since 13 seconds, the last 5 losses, Bills fans are like, we could have gone 2 and won the Super Bowl. We just can't finish, can't get out of our own way, can't get a call, can't make our own breaks. I don't know if, Brian, and we'll talk about it, obviously, if it's that big of a consequential outcome. But I think their story is the greatest story in the history of the sport.
It's a Disney movie.
In fact, it might get rejected as too hokey. Yeah, but Nick Folk had started in the league before. Nick Folk went an entire season with the Eagles where he threw 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Jarrett Stidham is making what, his 6th start?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
As we approach 22 minutes till the top of the hour, Pat Kirwan to join us in a little more than an hour here on Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. It is time now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is The Starting Five.
Brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through BST, business, sports, and tourism. You know, we should come up with other like BSTs, like, I don't know, biscuits and, something in tomatoes. I don't know, sausage and tomatoes. I don't know. Just think about it.
All right, I'll work on it.
Okay.
See if I can do better than biscuit, sausage, and tomatoes.
Well, if you can't, especially since you're going to think about it,
you're fired, right?
Well, no, because without you, we're not on the air. But I'd be concerned about our future. I have to admit I would. And then there were four teams, 3 games left in the NFL season after 3 home teams won this weekend. 2 went to overtime. And the Rams were the one road team to advance. We are left with New England at Denver in the AFC. Mark, I saw it open at 4, and I took a look this morning, and it's Patriots minus 5.5.
Yep, that's exactly what I saw it at this morning, David.
That's the first game Sunday at 3 Eastern. No Bo Nix for the Broncos. He suffered a broken ankle on the second to last play of the game. Jarrett Stidham, who has had, I think, a handful of starts in the league.
4.
So he's about as inexperienced a starting quarterback as there's been in the history of these conference championship games.
Hasn't played a game really since 2023.
But he'll have a full week with the ones at practice. And Jared Stidham's the guy for Denver at home against New England, their early game on Sunday. In the NFC, well, it's the two teams that, quite frankly, we thought were the two best teams in the conference late in the regular season and when the playoffs began. It's the Rams visiting the Seahawks. These two teams played twice this year. The Rams won in LA by 2. Seattle won in Seattle by 1.
Seattle, a 3-point favorite to open.
And I've seen it some places this morning down to 2.5. Can't imagine it's going to move much more than a half point either way all week. That'll be the late game, 6:30 Eastern on Big Fox on Sunday. Other NFL news finally made official on Saturday. Presser tomorrow in Jersey. John Harbaugh and the Giants, 5 years, $100 million. Kevin Stefanski named the new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. I have to admit, if you're in an interview and the owner of the company, not just your boss, because Matt Ryan technically will be Kevin Stefanski's boss, but has you over his house and he's doing the cooking on the grill, I like your chances to get the job. Apparently, Arthur Blank was the one cooking up the steaks for Stefanski and company over the weekend.
Let me just ask, does it matter what he was cooking? You know, if he's cooking burgers, are you like, really? You own the team and you're making burgers? I mean, doesn't it have to be a steak?
Well, you would prefer it to be a steak, okay? You know, grilled chicken, all right.
Grilled chicken, I'd leave. Not
Right.
gonna leave. The owner's
Of
of
course
course
you
chicken.
would.
I'm walking out.
Of course you would. Right. There's 32 of these jobs. Of course you're going to get up and leave.
Like he's not gonna wouldn't have got another one. You're cooking chicken? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but he might not have gotten a better one.
Hey, Art, can we do better than chicken?
But come on now. Is there a better job opening than the Falcons job?
No.
I mean, the Ravens, I think you could argue,
The
but
Ravens, but
there
yeah.
weren't many. There weren't many. Mike McDaniel, by the way, has been interviewed for 3 head coaching jobs and 3 offensive coordinator jobs. One of them being Tampa Bay, offensive coordinator there, not head coach. This is a shock to Dolphin that Mike McDaniel is in this much demand because, as we know, Dolphin couldn't light this guy on fire and get him out of town fast enough, and they were disappointed. It took till the Thursday after the regular season ended that he wasn't fired on Black Monday or on Sunday night even.
By the way, it was Darren Waller that was in the meeting with McDaniel, and Ross either came into the room, the meeting got awkward, it ended, and well, then we know what happened.
Right. Ross walked in and said, hey, when you're done, I need to talk to you. So, and he delivered the news. There you go. College football tonight. No big deal or anything. It's only the national championship game. Mark, would you move the game? Like, would you move it to tomorrow to give yourself a little more hype? Would you move it to Thursday?
Thursday. It would be on Thursday.
Now, that means it'd be about 2 weeks since both teams played.
I got you, but it would be Thursday.
Okay.
Now, it would have been last week for me. I would have had semifinals on New Year's Day. We'll see if they do anything with their schedule, but I don't think that they need help with the championship game. But, I mean, come on. We've mentioned it twice in our first hour. There was kind of some games going on over the weekend. It's a tough day to play after what people think is the best NFL weekend of the year.
You've got the 10th ranked Canes, who, by the way, were preseason number 10. And you've got top ranked and undefeated 15-0 Indiana. 7:30 tonight, ESPN, 7:30 Eastern. And for those thinking that 7:30 Eastern means 10 to 8 or no, remember the last couple years, 7:30 Eastern has mean they've kicked by like 7:38. So be ready to go, 7:30 Eastern tonight on the four-letter network. Indiana was preseason number 20, by the way. According to that whole ESPN, what is it, the predictor, I don't know, CFI or whatever it's called, Indiana given a 68% chance to win tonight. They are anywhere from a 7.5 to an 8.5 point favorite, depending on where you look. For the record, I have the Canes and the points. Indiana to win 24-20, but I'll take the Canes and the points.
More on our predictions later in the show.
SEC Big Ten continuing to be deadlocked. Friday is the deadline that is looming, in which these two conferences need to agree on what the playoff is going to look like. Because if Friday comes and goes, we have the same format next year that we've had this year. Here's where it's at. Sankey in the SEC wants a 16-team playoff. Petiti in the Big Ten will only agree to the 16-team playoff now if Sankey will agree to the playoff becoming 24 teams by the end of the decade. Also, Petiti wants the elimination of the conference championship games. So Sankey wants to keep status quo and just go from 12 to 16. Petiti says, I'll give you that, but you have to agree by the end of the decade we've eliminated conference championship games and the playoff is 24. And Sankey won't.
I hate the idea of 24.
Okay. What about the idea of eliminating the conference championship games?
I've been saying that for months on this show, so I've got no problem with that.
Okay, so each guy's got something they like and don't like from the other. You willing to compromise?
What's the compromise?
Well, I don't know.
I like Petiti's. I mean, I like Sankey, 16 and no conference championship games.
Okay, well, you're not listening.
I would make the compromise. Yes, I would meet in the middle there. I would 16 and no conference championship games. Done.
Okay, so that's your compromise, right? Because Sankey's at 16 and we keep status quo. Petiti's like, no, 16 now, 24 later, and conference championship games go away. So that's where they're at. By the way, the other conference commissioners do not think that Petiti and Sankey will agree to any sort of compromise by Friday. They think we'll have 12 next year as well. NBA, 6 games yesterday, including one in London. After Orlando beat Memphis in Germany, Memphis beat Orlando in London. John Morant came back from the injured list at 24 points, 13 assists, Memphis by 17. Chicago and Brooklyn split a home and home, with the Bulls winning at home last night, 124-102. KD passed Dirk Nowitzki for 6th on the all-time scoring list. Houston 119-110 over New Orleans. You know, Charlotte's had some interesting wins this year. They're still a bad team. They're still out of the playoffs. But they went to Denver and spanked the Nuggets yesterday, 110-87. I know, no Jokic and what have you, but Charlotte's had some interesting road wins this year. Portland, do you know the Blazers are 500? 22-22? Remember, their coach got arrested and indicted second week of the season. Portland over Sacramento, 117-110. And DeAndre Ayton, remember him? He plays for the Lakers now. 25 points, 13 rebounds. Lakers 110-93 over Toronto. Only one ranked game yesterday in college hoops. Houston at home beat Arizona State by 30. Mark, how many system plays did we have on Saturday?
108. I think it was 14, David.
We went 8-6. We went 8-6, and those plays were 30-24 on the year. NHL, 3 games last night. Tampa Bay, 12-0-1 in their last 13. They beat Dallas 4-1. Detroit in overtime beat Ottawa 4-3. They're tied with the Lightning in the standings, but they have played 3 more games.
They have. They were down 2-0 in that game. Nice win to come back and get the W in overtime there.
Edmonton 5-0 over St. Louis. Zach Hyman, 2 goals and assists. Connor Ingram with the shutout for the Oilers. Baseball over the weekend. Bo Bichette signed with the Mets, 3 for $126. He can opt out after every year. JT Realmuto then re-signed with the Phillies, 3 for $45. The Braves lost their shortstop, Hyesung Kim. 4 to 5 months. He tore a tendon in his right middle finger. That's the one he uses to throw the ball. That's not good. And Wilbur Wood passed away over the weekend at the age of 84. Look it up. He was known as a knuckleballer, played on some bad White Sox teams, but in the first half of the 70s, along with Vida Blue and Jim Palmer, might have been the best pitcher in the American League. And he started every 4th day. No 4 days rest. He had 3 days rest. Take a look. He started like 220 games in a 5-year stretch. Wilbur Wood, 84 years old. Finally, Mark Golf. Chris Gotterup shot a 664 in the final round to win the Sony Open by 2. He took home a little over $1.6 million with the win. 63-year-old Vijay Singh made the cut. Finished tied for 40th. 63-year-old Vijay Singh.
Yeah, use that lifetime exemption rule for career earnings to play on tour this year and made the cut in the first event. Not bad.
And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories you need to know, brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through BST, business, sports, and tourism.
We've got our poll question up. It's just a simple one. I mean, there's a lot more words there than that, but was it an interception or was it a catch? That's what we're asking you. If you don't subscribe to X, where you can follow that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or Miller_Moulton on X to keep up with the show, you can always text us. Pelican Roofing of Florida text line wide open. The number is 21,000. If you've never texted the show, the keyword is Miller. So text Miller to 21,000. You can give us your thoughts, like this guy who said, I think he was bobbling the ball. I think it was an interception. So far, the first 2 texters say interceptions. Those on X, more than half saying catch.
Spring training is a big win for Lee County. Beginning next month, we will proudly host the Boston Red Sox and Minnesota Twins right here in Southwest Florida. It's more than great baseball. It's jobs, visitors, and $69 million in tourism impact for our local economy. Get your tickets at redsox.com and twins.com. Be part of something that strengthens our community. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Our wedding band event is back at the Diamond District, January 24th and 25th.
Standout designers from Crown, Ajapi, and Veragio.
2 days only, 20% off designer pricing.
Diamonds, gold, or platinum. One of a kind or perfectly simple. We make it personal and easy.
20% off, January 24th and 25th. Only at the Diamond District. Se habla español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah!
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This is coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Do we want a second poll question to just be who you got tonight?
Yeah.
Do you want to include the point spread, or do you think enough people will pick the Canes that
No, I think let's put the spread on there.
you have to settle then on the line? I don't care which one you put.
8.5, isn't it?
Well, I think DraftKings is 7.5. I think.
Let me see what the Hard Rock is. The legalized betting service here in the state of Florida.
I gotcha.
That's only cost Miller and Moulton hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
7.5, David.
Well, Shimko, I don't think that they take the ball first. But I like your thinking. It's Xavier Lucas, right? The Miami corner for targeting. By the way, I hated that call. He went unbelievably low. The receiver crumbles to the ground. Horrible call. Can't believe in the week and a half since that game they couldn't overturn that call. Which they do after the fact many times. Actually, Javier, I would be very surprised if Indiana blew out the Canes, only because of the way the Canes play. Now, if they're going to turn it over like Alabama and Oregon did early, it'll be a blowout. But I think Miami has to play the Ohio State game again.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton. On this Overreaction Monday, a lot to react to over the weekend. We've got a national championship game tonight. Indiana, the home team, just north of Miami, against Miami. For the national championship, it would be the Canes' first in 24 years. It would be Indiana's first, period. And what a bookend. 50 years after Bobby Knight's perfect Hoosiers basketball championship, Indiana would then have a perfect football championship. Remarkable.
By the way, tickets have been gobbled up. You know, on Friday, tickets dipped below $3,000 for upper bowl tickets.
Right. Weren't they like 2,700?
Right. Right now, because tickets, I don't think there's very many left. The cheapest ticket that I see is $3,950. You can sit downstairs in the end zone for a little less than $6,000.
Oh,
But most of the tickets in the lower bowl are, well, it starts at around 7,200. You want to sit 50-yard line? $10,000.
there you go. There you go.
Have a guy that I've recently met, new member at the place that I play golf at, and he is a big Indiana booster. And he was talking a lot, like, I'm going, let's go, with a couple other guys that are Indiana fans. So I walked up to him. I said, you still going? I saw him on Friday. He goes, oh, yeah. Got your ticket? He goes, nope. Getting close. Going to have to pull the trigger. You're getting nervous. But he went to the Peach Bowl. And we were talking. He said the Peach Bowl, and I know it was an Indiana guy. He said, but other than the Oregon band, there was not one area in that stadium that was Oregon colors, if you know what I mean. He goes, doesn't mean there weren't fans sprinkled around. He said, but very quickly, the tickets on the Oregon side started getting gobbled up by Indiana people. He goes, it was a home game, and it wasn't close. He goes, it was 90-10. So tonight's going to be fascinating. Just I mean, Indiana went out and bought a billboard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Hoosier fans in
Yep.
Miami.
Yep. I love it. I love this story. Okay. I've always had a soft spot for the Canes. All right. Growing up in Jersey, I loved, talk the talk, walk the walk. I loved it. I'm one of those rare birds, not that I lived somewhere else and moved to Florida, but I like Spurrier and the Gators, loved Bobby and the Knowles, and I loved the Canes. So, moving to the state a quarter century ago, it was like, I want them all to be good at the same time. I want them all talking. I want the Canes strutting. I want Spurrier doing his, shucks thing. And then I want, I want Spurrier sarcasm and Bobby's all
And
shucks. Let's go.
And Howard chomping on a cigar,
Yep,
totally. I would rank my fandom to Florida teams. Miami is clearly number one to me. Always has been. From when I was a teenager. That's when they started getting good. That's when, my father may have not liked the way in which the Canes had won.
Therefore,
that only made me like the Canes more.
Right.
I watched both Miami and Florida State in consecutive years. I think reverse order beat my Spartans when I was in college. I went to the games, and I still love my Spartans, but I went to the games because I wanted to see Florida State and Miami. I wanted to see that up close and personal. And I remember Dion going to the house, and my seats were behind the Florida State bench, and Dion talking smack to the crowd. And I'm like, I'll be damned.
Yep.
And I remember being much a male student and dying to just see the Miami cheerleaders because they didn't look like Michigan State's cheerleaders. Not even close.
Must have been the tan.
Probably.
It must have been the tan. Right.
So I'm wearing, I don't have it on now, it's too hot in the damn studio. I wore to work today my University of Miami sweatshirt that I got when I took a semester off of college from Michigan State and lived in Marco Island, Florida, waiting tables. One of the guys I worked with did the same thing I was doing. He was a student at Miami. He went back for the weekend to see friends. I had to work. I said, you got to bring me back a Cane sweatshirt. I said, I want at that time we were all wearing, hoodies weren't big. We were wearing the gray sweatshirts with the University of Miami or Michigan State University on the front. Had to have one. Still have it. So I'm rooting for the Canes. I am clearly rooting for the Canes. But like you, David, someone said to me I played in a golf tournament yesterday, and the guys know what I do, so I get a lot of sports questions, or mostly I get it's not true. I don't really get any sports questions. You know what I get? All of their opinions on sports because they all think that they know more than me, and that's fine. But I'm getting bombarded on the range. But the one thing that I was asked, and it was asked just like this, so do they finish the Disney movie tomorrow? And I thought that was a great way to put it. Because come on, Indiana going undefeated and in doing so will have won the Big Ten championship, beating who?
Ohio State.
Yeah. And taking down everybody in front of them. Then after that, who'd they be? Alabama? And whooped them?
5 touchdowns in the Rose Bowl, yes.
And then, obviously, the dismantling of Oregon. Now they get the Canes. And I know the Canes haven't been college football royalty for a generation and a half, maybe 2 generations. But certainly, when you take down Ohio State in Indiana in consecutive weeks, basically, consecutive games, I should say, and now have a chance for an undefeated national title with this guy who was coaching James Madison a couple of years ago, who has a different type of swagger than a Spurrier or a Jimmy Johnson, but certainly has swagger. You can't deny that Kirk Cignetti doesn't talk the talk. And then the quarterback who's from where? Miami.
In fact, I think he was born a couple miles from the stadium.
So we have a second poll question up. The first one's about the game in the Bills and Broncos, interception or catch. And then we threw the spread on it. It's 7.5. It's a big number. It jumped from, I think it opened at 7.5, went to 8.5, settled back down at just over a touchdown. So Miami plus 7.5, Indiana minus 7.5.
If Indiana does to Miami what they did to Alabama and Oregon, I think you're going to have to talk about them on some sort of all-time list. Now, I don't think they're the 01 Canes. I don't think they're the 95 Nebraska team, and you all list your favorites. But I think you'd have to put them in a top 10.
David, I'm guessing, and the Miami team I'm much more familiar with, but are they more similar to that Nebraska team? I'm guessing the Nebraska team had more, 4 and 5 stars if we, when we recruited players that, by that list. But the Miami team, there's a bunch of gold jackets. It's hard to compare what they would then go on to do in the NFL. it's probably a little more similar to the Nebraska team in that regard, or did that Nebraska team have a bunch of guys that played Sunday? I don't think it did. Certainly not the way the Miami team did.
Yeah, Osborne didn't usually have a bunch of gold jacket guys. He had quite a few who played on Sunday, but they just dominated, Mark. I mean, never mind the 62-24 destruction of the Gators in the national championship game. And I could argue the game wasn't that close. I mean, and Tommy Frazier's an all-time great. Also, that had been a 3-year process. That was their second title in a row. 2 years earlier, they lost on a last-second kick to Florida State. The year before, they split a natty. And then that year, they just absolutely dominated. So, I mean, those are the top two teams. For me, in the last 40 years, those are the top two teams. And I know you all got yours, one of the 04 USC, 05 Texas. I get it. One of the Alabama teams. I get it. It's personal choice. For me, Mount Rushmore college football teams, the two I always reference are the 01 Canes and 95 Nebraska. And then I'm willing to, give serious thought as to who the other two are. But this would be the number one story all time in the history of the sport. And what would be a 16-0 season. That's the other thing. A 16-0 season, I think, would have to be held in very high regard historically.
I'm with you. And put it this way. And it's tough to do because we all know the Buckeyes are going to have all these players drafted in the first round. If you took the name Indiana off the team and inserted, I'll take Ohio State off it, Oklahoma, even Oregon, teams that we've seen, been there, done that, but maybe didn't win the final game. But the fact that it's Indiana, that's the part that people are going to have trouble saying all time. But the story, it's undeniable.
Story's amazing. Don't know if the story can be recreated going forward, honestly, because he caught college football in a bit of a transition. Don't know if anybody's going to be able to bring that many players with them. Never mind the fact that who's going to take the job at the single worst Division I football program in the history of Division I football. I mean, there's not another story that I think's in the area code of this story. That's how this to me is the miracle on ice for college football. There is no second place story.
I'm with you, David, because you have to understand where Miller and Moulton hold the miracle on ice. We even hold it in higher regard than all of you. Combined, we do. And there'll never be anything before this in college football like it, and I don't know if there'll ever be anything after it.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local glass doctor for details.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
By the way, I do not know if the guy who's in there that wanted to take the Blues on Friday, and I said they suck, took the Blues and made some money. I hope you did. Good pick by you.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
20 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. 2 poll questions on this Martin Luther King Jr. holiday overreaction Monday, with Pat Kirwan needing to come on our show today because of travel obligations tomorrow. So we'll talk to Pat in 40 minutes time. Our 2 poll questions. Well, the story of the weekend. Was it a catch? Was it an interception in the Bills-Broncos game? You decide. Interception, catch. And who you got tonight? Miami in the points? Indiana laying the points? Who you got? Those are our poll questions. Do just want to throw this out there. Man, were the Bears fun. The Bears have never been fun. Not in 40 years. Bears have not been fun.
No, you're right. I mean, but even the 85 Bears, that was defense. The most fun thing about that team was Refrigerator Perry running the ball.
Yeah, and the video and McMahon, with the headbands. I mean, that team
as on the field, if you know what I mean. They were the Bears. They were still the Bears. It was defense and kill people and you just eat them alive. Sweetness was fun.
Yeah, no, they had personality though. They had charisma.
Thank you, David Lee Roth.
Well, I think it was the same year that David Lee Roth said that in a video. So I think I'm quoting properly. But, that Bears team had charisma. Never mind the fact they had a bunch of guys who would wear gold jackets. Okay. But this is the most fun Chicago team. I mean, hell, the 2015 and 16 Cubs looked at this Bears team and said, I think they're more fun than we were. Those Hawks teams who won 3 cups in 6 years, they were watching this Bears team and went, yeah, these guys are more fun than us. This is amazing.
It does show you another thing too, David. And we've said this, and we've talked about it. We talk about TV ratings maybe more than most shows, but it's a Bears town.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Bears town.
Yeah.
They've been.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And it reminded me, and I'm a little biased because I happen to be there for both of these games, but in 2013, when Auburn was going to lose to Georgia and knock them out of the national championship picture, and then it was the prayer at Jordan Hare when, Nick Marshall just threw the ball deep down the middle of the field and 2 Georgia guys decided to bat it up in the air so that the Auburn receiver could catch it and not break stride and score the touchdown on 4th down and win the game. And we said, well, we're never going to see a play like that again. And then 2 weeks later was the kick 6. And I swear that's what Caleb Williams and the Bears were, Mark.
All year long, too.
Unreal.
All year long.
What a fun team. And yeah, I can tell you right now, I'm not going to be at the front of the line, but I'm going to be near the front of the line saying next year that they grossly overachieved. They won too many wild, crazy games. They won't get the bounces that they got, and that the Bears are going to miss the playoffs. I can tell you right now, I'm going to be in that group. I am. I'm going to say that Chicago in 2026 is going to have a year just like Washington did this year, because Washington
hopefully without the injury,
Yeah, totally. But I don't.
David, that pass that Caleb Williams threw to tie the game is down in the books as a 14-yard completion.
Right. Of course, he released the ball at the 40.
Right.
At the 40, he released the ball. But yes.
On the opposite hash to the side he threw it on as well.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yep. You're right, Mark. It was just a simple 4th down conversion, 4th and 4 from the 14. You're right. Yep. I mean, and he threw the ball to the tight end who had man-to-man coverage on the left side. That was no big deal. Right. I will say, it's not his best throw of the year. I still contend that throw he made on 4th down against the Packers when they were down 12. That's just, I don't know if he'll make a better throw in his life than that one. That's obscene.
I will say, as much as I loved it, kicked me right in the ding-ding, as Eddie Murphy said in the beginning of his special, because...
Oh, yeah. You were laying how much?
4.
4.
Yep.
I
was 2-2 at that point because I had bombed the Patriot-Texan game by not only taking the Texans, but taking the under. And that closed the deal on putting me back underneath 500 for the season.
Well, C.J. Stroud was just going to keep throwing interceptions and creating turnovers until that game went over. To
your point earlier on him, and you'd mentioned you hope that Houston comes out today and gives us an injury as to why he played the way he did.
Yes.
We really have to revisit where this quarterback is. And I know he's led them to the playoffs. They're now 0-7 as a franchise in the divisional round, by the way. I know they've played good competition and they've been underdogs in the majority of these games. I get it. 0-7. 0-7.
That was actually, from a point spread standpoint, the closest and best chance that they had in this round. They were a 3-point dog. They have been clear underdogs in this round before. But, Mark, there's no doubt about it. He's going in the wrong direction. Here's the other point, though. They don't have anybody else. I mean, in all seriousness, are you going to not pick up his 5th-year option, make this a make-or-break year, and be ready to turn it all over to Davis Mills?
Not a chance, David. Not a chance. And DeMeco Ryans, I loved what they asked him at halftime. They asked about the turnovers. We got his back. He's got to know his team's got his back. He says all the right things. I love him as a head coach. That's a guy, when I watch him, it's like, man, I'd like to play for him. That looks like a guy that I'd really like to play for. But heading into next season, heading into this season, Ben Johnson gets hired in Chicago. The questions weren't about the head coach. They were about the quarterback. And despite the fact that he, I think, had the worst completion percentage of any of the starting quarterbacks in the league this year, I think all of us believe that this guy can be a good quarterback going forward.
Well, he certainly can make plays, throwing it or running it. And, I mean, they're going to stick with him for sure. Next year will be year 3. Barring something unforeseen, they'll pick up his 5th-year option. I mean, you got to figure Caleb's got 2 or 3 more years for the Bears to decide whether or not they're going to throw hundreds of millions of dollars at him.
But C.J. Stroud, you go into the season with that defense, and you're sitting there wondering, and I know they're going to get receivers back, and they can make changes. Their offensive line wasn't great. It was average at best. So there are other things that need to be addressed. And the quarterback stand, it's not what I'm implying. But that roster, David, is pretty good.
Yeah.
That roster is pretty good. That quarterback held that roster back. Obviously, they got away with it against Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh's roster sucks. And that defense just overwhelmed the Steelers' offense. But the Texans' defense did a lot of good things. Drake May put the ball on the ground a lot. They got some breaks yesterday because there were a few fumbles that ended up back in the arms of Patriot players that were bouncing all over the place. Fall on the ball, D lineman. But man, oh man, are there a lot of questions about C.J. Stroud heading into the 26th regular season.
And those pointing out that other quarterbacks had turnovers. I mean, we had 21 turnovers in the 4 playoff games. I mean, it was remarkable. Yeah, Purdy and the Niners and turnovers and injuries. Yeah, okay. But the week before, with all those injuries, Purdy went into Philadelphia and beat the Eagles. The week before, C.J. Stroud turned it over 3 times, and he didn't do a damn thing to help them beat the Steelers. He had 7 turnovers in 2 playoff games. And some of you want to make excuses for C.J. Stroud? Is Nico Collins Jerry Rice?
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With real cards and real dealers 24/7, this is the place where the action never ends. Now you can bet on your favorite team, roll the dice on craps, or spin the wheel for roulette. We've got your game. Plus, the Zigzag Girls Blackjack Pit features nonstop excitement and free drinks while you play. This is Seminole Casino Hotel, minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 to play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 2333-PLAY-WISE.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit LeeCountyBusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Ooh.
Empire, for the record, I'm not giving Purdy a pass, but do you blame Purdy for the loss to Seattle? Because I blame CJ Stroud for the loss to New England. That's the difference. I mean, he cost them the football game. I never thought that San Francisco was winning. And that game was over after, I don't know, the opening flipping kickoff. And he looked lost out there. I still think, Purdy throws interceptions. He's got a little bit of Favre in him. Okay. CJ Stroud couldn't hit an open receiver if his life depended on it yesterday.
Michael, and I mean this, first off, I don't care. But just because you asked, I actually think that Sunday's game could cost Bo Nix tens of millions of dollars. I mean, if Jared Stidham goes out and plays a good, solid game, whether they win or lose, but Jared Stidham, who hasn't played in 2+ years, basically, steps into that offense and is effective. Then how special is Bo Nix? Okay.
My biggest worry about Bo Nix going forward is I think his legs make him the quarterback that he is. And how long can you rely on being a running quarterback in that league?
And the fact of the matter is, he had a really bad second half until the final drive in the fourth quarter. I mean, he did. He made 2 really good throws on that drive. He did. But he did not have a good half. I don't think that Bo Nix is going to get more than Trevor Lawrence. I think he'll probably end up in the low 50s. I mean, The error you're talking about is going to be saved for you know who. Well, but they didn't. I mean, they were never equal to Drew Brees. They weren't in the area code of Drew Brees.
You are talking about a Hall of Fame quarterback, Left Twix,
I mean,
versus Bo Nix.
you're still going to get $50 million. It's just the market. But Michael was saying he's going to get $70 million, and that would make him a top 4 quarterback in the league.
Empire, I've never said they should cut Stroud. I don't know if you're getting that from me.
Empire, I got to admit, you may need to take a deep breath.
All I said is that there are a lot of question marks heading into 2026. That's all I said. I said it the same way heading into this year about Caleb. He's proved the doubters wrong. Next year, CJ Stroud will have to do the same thing. That is all that I said. I never once said cut him. In fact, we said you have to give him the 5th-year extension.
Right. But they've already changed offensive coordinators once. They've already, traded half their offensive line. I mean, they...
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
As we approach 22 minutes till the top of the hour, Pat Kirwan is going to join us then, which he doesn't normally on a Monday, but his schedule is such this week that, well, he'll join us at the top of the hour here on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Not one, but 2 poll questions on this Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, on this Overreaction Monday. The controversial catch or interception in overtime of the Broncos-Bills playoff game. How did you see it? Interception, as it was ruled on the field? Or did you think it was a catch and he was down by contact? That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. I ruled it, to me, it was a catch. But then again, there were plays that happened earlier this year that were similar, and they were ruled interceptions, and I didn't agree with those either. I am confused by the Davante Adams catch in the 4th quarter against the Bears, in which that play is very similar to the play in the Buffalo-Denver game. And yet Davante Adams caught it and was down by contact, which was funny because when his back hit the ground, he didn't have the ball. And the Bears did. And yet Terry McCauley and Chris Collinsworth were like, oh, yeah, that's a catch. He's down by contact. Really? I wish they would have at that moment done a split screen and shown the 2 plays and just said, listen, just tell me the difference between the plays. And don't tell me you think Davante Adams, quote, completed the catch. Come on now. Now, I thought they were both catches and down by contact. But this is where we're at with the NFL, with its rules, and therefore with its interpretation by different officials.
And when you're down, you're down. I thought when you're on the ground, you're down. Like I thought in the moment it was a catch. What I did text the people I was going back and forth with the whole game was it was an interception on the field. My biggest problem with the whole thing, however, was the lack of time that they took to look at the play. Not that the play mattered at all. It only decided the outcome of a football game in the playoffs. Sean McDermott had similar thoughts following the game as well.
It's hard for me to, and I've had a chance to look at, it's hard for me to understand why it was ruled the way it was ruled. And if it is ruled that way, then why wasn't it slowed down? Just to make sure that we have this right. But I'm saying it because I'm standing up for Buffalo, damn it. I'm standing up for us. Because what went on is not how it should go down, in my estimation. That play, these guys spent 3 hours out there playing football, pouring their guts out, to not even say, hey, let's just slow this thing down. That's why I'm bothered.
That's Sean McDermott post-game. That is my biggest beef with the whole thing. In an era where in every sport, it doesn't matter, baseball, basketball, that now they can challenge calls. Hockey, they challenge offsides calls on goals. They spend a decent amount of time looking at them. And in football, they seem to spend more time looking at them than the other three sports combined. And yet they were ready to have Denver snap the ball immediately following the play. Immediately. McDermott had to call timeout, and they still didn't seem to look at it. That's my biggest complaint about the whole thing. And as you and I have pointed out a couple of times today, David, people who played the game for a living are as confused by it as you and I and a lot of our listeners are.
Right. That's what really had me, I guess, reeling Saturday night. I'm like, listen, it's one thing for me. I'm a Yahoo. Okay. There's a bunch of us in social media. We're Yahoos, whether we're in the media or we're fans. I mean, but to see so many current and former players that were divided on this, and so many of them, because the officials publicly are, oh, it was an interception. He didn't have control of it. Okay. I mean, honestly, Russell York's ABC's official, when I asked him yesterday, he was adamant. He goes, it's actually not a hard call. And my eyes got really big. He goes, it wasn't a hard call. He goes, it's actually very simple. He goes, and it was textbook an interception. I'm like, okay. And meanwhile, there are so many people who played this game who are so adamant thinking it's the other way. That in and of itself is probably an issue.
And for all of you, and I'm seeing it because we see the chat rooms in both YouTube and Twitch Live complaining about this was a holding call, that was a holding call. There were hardly any penalties called in the damn game. You have to look at how the flow of the game and how the officials were operating. They weren't calling penalties. That's why people are complaining about the 2 pass interference calls late in the game. They wouldn't call them. They didn't call one in the end zone on Buffalo or on Denver that Nance pointed out in real time. They didn't call those. Now, the one PI that I thought was ticky-tack, there was a horrific roughing the passer on Bosa that would have been called had the PI not been called. It was a net 2-yard difference. And I thought the other one was pass interference. But in a game where they were not throwing flags, don't start talking about holding penalties not being called. They had called 6 penalties up until the last drive of the game. 6 for the game. And it went damn near 5 quarters.
The Broncos were the most penalized defense in the league this year. They were one of the most penalized teams, but they were the most penalized defense in the league. Do you know how many penalties were called on the Broncos defense that weren't offsides? None. So the officials were letting them play.
And they typically do in the playoffs. That is the one thing that has been pretty tried and true. And I'm guessing Pat Kirwan will say the same thing coming up here in a handful of minutes.
One thing that I think needs to be talked about going forward, and we've got Pat Kirwan on in 15 minutes. You know, Pat has said quite a few times over the years that he has friends in the coaching profession who say at the end of games, what's your play? And it's throw it deep and get a pass interference. And I do think like that pass that Nix threw was a horrible pass. It was late. It was a moon ball. It was down the middle of the field. I mean, it was underthrown. I mean, it really, the ball, instead of saying NFL on it and Roger Goodell's signature, should have just on one side said pass and on the other side said interference. I mean, it was a horrible pass. And I don't know if that needs to be taken into consideration anymore when you throw a moon ball down the middle of the field, and because of it, there's contact made between the DB and the wide receiver. Okay. Should that in any way count at all? Because I do think that passes are thrown sometimes with the pure intent of getting a pass interference call. Now, hey, maybe it's just credit to the offense. And it just makes it that much harder to play defense. But this is where also, sorry, Mark, very quickly, this is where some people believe, since the officiating on pass interference is so inconsistent, does it need to be the college rule of it's a 15-yard penalty instead of a spot foul?
And I don't see that happening because they don't change things to essentially benefit the defense, if you know what I mean.
Right. And they are absolutely convinced that what DBs will do is just tackle guys and take the 15-yarder.
But, you know, it's funny. If the Bills would have won that game, I wonder how much of our talk would have been, because what was the weak part about the Bills' defense? It was their run defense. And Nix ran the ball more than the running backs. And there was a bunch of QB sneaks there. Made some great plays with his leg. Had a bunch of first downs. Both quarterbacks did. But I was stunned late in that game as I'm watching it and I look at the stats at how little Denver tried throughout the game to run the ball against a bad Buffalo run defense.
Well, Sean Payton has Andy Reid disease also.
You said it on Friday. It was the reason you picked Buffalo. You thought Sean Payton couldn't help himself in that situation. And he couldn't.
Right. Nope.
46 throws for Nix. He had 12 runs. They had 10 runs that were not made by Bo Nix in the game.
Now, you would think he's going to tell his offensive line and tight ends and running backs, yeah, we're going to have to run the ball this week. Got a backup quarterback.
Different defense this week, though.
Yeah, but
different defense this week.
But probably going to have to run the ball a little bit this week. They're going to win.
And I don't see Stidham running as much as Nix does. We'll see.
Nope. But we have plenty of time for that one. That's the early game Sunday. Rams, Seahawks are the late game, a 1 and a 2 in the AFC, even though the one's down to a backup quarterback and is a decided home dog. And it's 1 versus 5 in the NFC, but it is the two teams who had the best record in the conference. So there you have it. Very compelling playoffs so far. Been sloppy, messy, and exciting as hell.
I mean, we had a great wild card weekend. We had a really good divisional weekend. 2 fantastic football games. And the one team no one's talked about all damn year blowing out San Francisco. Seattle's just, I mean, really all year, David, they've just kind of been there and no one seems to be paying attention. And I think they're fine with that. Miller and Moulton. Pelican Roofing of Florida text line is open. If you don't subscribe to X, you can answer our poll questions. Who you like tonight? We threw the spread on there. Got a simple text that just said Indiana. But on the catch, early on, many of you texting the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line saying interception. That's turned in the last hour. If you've never texted the show before, 21,000 is the number. You need to text a keyword, Miller. We did that because it's easier to spell than Moulton. People get that one confused. If not, you're sending text somewhere up in Michigan and they don't know what the hell's going on. So 21,000, Miller, the keyword. Love to get your thoughts on tonight's game, on the weekend that just happened. Pat Kirwan joining us in 10 minutes time.
7 head coaching vacancies remain. Harbaugh to the Giants, Stefanski to Atlanta. 7 still remain. And former Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel is a serious candidate in at least 3 of those places.
You know, if he gets the Cleveland job, the Browns fans are going to freak out.
As well they should.
Browns fans were coming up to me this week and going, they're not going to hire him, are they? I said, it's the Browns. Does anybody know what they're going to do?
It is a shocking place of all the places. It really is. Because Miami went to Cleveland late in the year when the Browns were an absolute dumpster fire. And Cleveland won 31-6. So how do you handle the press conference? To me, it was like, remember when the Jets hired Adam Gase right after the Dolphins fired him? And we all looked at one another and went, why the hell did they hire him? Never mind the fact that he had the goofiest presser ever with the crazy eyes. And, you know, it was like he was having a psychotic break during the presser. But, I mean, we all looked at one another and went, did they really hire Adam Gase? Have they not watched the last couple of years? Really? I mean, they're in the same division. They played him twice. What were they watching? Yeah.
So we'll keep our eye on the coaching vacancies, get a little word from Pat on that as well, and let him break down the divisional round. Then we might get back to the national championship. The Canes trying to beat you again at home. Indiana trying to complete one of the more remarkable seasons that we will have ever seen in any sport. Would be ironic that the team that has the last undefeated season in college basketball would be the first 16-0 team in college football.
Cignetti, by the way, did you see the presser? He was asked about your interest in the NFL. And he said, I had a decision to make about 25 years ago. And I forget the coach and the place. And he said, but I was offered a position coach's job. And I had to make a decision. And I decided at that moment in time, I'm a college guy. And he said, so I'm a college guy. Just discount all of that. Miller and Moulton. He's an NFL guy. He's Pat Kirwan, and he's next.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This is coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
Our wedding band event is back at the Diamond District, January 24th and 25th.
Standout designers from Crown, A-Jaffe, and Viraggio.
2 days only, 20% off designer pricing.
Diamonds, gold, or platinum. One of a kind or perfectly simple. We make it personal and easy.
20% off, January 24th and 25th. Only at the Diamond District. Se habla español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Mark,
Good morning, Pat.
you can hear me?
I can hear you well.
All right. Well, hopefully this system is better.
Good. Me too.
Yeah. And the other day I got back on, but you guys had already disconnected. I listened to the rest of the show. I said, let me just hear what these cats are doing.
Where did you get back last night late?
No, I'm still here. I'm going back tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I had to take care of some stuff today. My daughter is flying to England again, so she needed me to do some stuff.
Ah.
Don't worry about it. I'll just go back Tuesday. It's no big deal.
I mean, come on, cook for yourself, kids. They're old enough to cook for themselves now. What the hell?
Well, they're also old enough to leave the house for good. Just oh, look at this. No one's here to stop us. Yeah. But there's always a million,
Oh,
I got
yeah.
3 boys. I can't help driving the hockey because I've got
Right. You got
go up right after school, but the guys that got to get picked up at 7, 8, and 9.
Right.
That's when they ask me. And on Mondays we get out at 6:30.
6:30, yeah.
Brady's thing. So, I enjoyed football this weekend.
Yes. Yep.
And I personally enjoy Seattle stomping on people.
Well, it's, I mean, I know you heard me because you were on it. It's the team we've just, as nationally, I don't just mean our show. And I know you guys cover everything, but you know what I mean. The national
Northwest
shows,
corner.
They don't talk about them at all.
And if you now the national stuff, you're watching them and you're starting to, and they had a bye last week, right? So you didn't see them. Now you watch and realize, okay, Houston's a good defense. So is Seattle.
Yes, they are.
And they can match up.
But I mean, man, I'll tell you what though, Pat. And I know Seattle's offense is better because I like both their running backs, and Smith and Jigma is just really good. But if you were to put a poll question out before the playoffs started, which quarterback is going to be a bigger detriment to his team? C.J. Stroud, Sam Darnold. I think people would have voted Darnold, 3-1.
I absolutely agree with you, and they're still waiting to vote against him.
Yeah,
but Mike is not letting them throw the ball more than a dozen times. And they lost Charbonnet early in that game. And I'm telling you, he's built perfect for running back.
I obviously, because he's of his Michigan State background, watched him a lot in college. I'm a fan.
That's when Michigan State was able to get guys transferring.
Well, they've got a lot of money now. We'll see what happens. They got the biggest donation in the history of the school this offseason. So if this year they didn't get him, but by next year, if Fitzgerald can do anything, they can't make the complaint we don't have the money anymore.
Nope. I'm glad they got him.
I am too. I hope he does a good job.
Yeah. Well, they like playing for him. Did he ever line up at Northwestern with a roster better than the one on the other side of the field?
Not too often.
No, that's a good sign.
Only when he was playing Indiana.
Yeah, former. Yeah, my brother always says we always counted Indiana as win 1 for the year, no matter what.
The funniest thing I heard, I was listening to college sports radio. They were talking about when Indiana would do like their drone shots for media guides. It was always against Ohio State because the stadium would be full and they would all have the right color on.
There you go. So we had a quarterback. I signed him too. He was a kid I knew locally. He was a quarterback at Indiana. He was like out of his mind.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home on this Overreaction Monday on this Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Or it's the final hour for you in live Oak Lake City, surrounding areas, Port Charlotte, Venice, and surrounding areas. We are Miller and Moulton, MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X, a Monday treat, because normally he joins us on Tuesdays. Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio, moving the chains, weekdays 3 to 7, Saturdays 2 to 5 throughout the playoffs. CBS's NFL Today show, he will be in Denver Sunday for the Patriots and the Broncos in the AFC Championship game. Pat joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers. Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers where you can't fake fresh. Top of the morning to you. Your thoughts from a wild divisional round.
I got a lot of thoughts. You probably don't have enough time for mine, but I'll just start with the theme. You can't hide a deficiency. Let's just say that and think about what that means. Houston's offense tried to hide it, wasn't going to work. San Francisco's injuries, tried to hide them, wasn't going to work. Living on turnovers, Chicago's defense didn't work. So when you know, and we say a lot about Chicago, oh man, you know, they're not a very good defense, but they get the ball back, which is really important. They're not able to do those things. Here's the next one, relying on one guy. This is right to you, David. McCaffrey. As goes McCaffrey, so go the 49ers. And this is not the first time McDonald's shut him down. He came into the game averaging 3.4 yards a carry against McDonald defenses, and he had 3.2 in this one.
Well, it's the fifth time, by the way. Sorry, Pat, I'll just stop. We'll just say this heading into next year. Fifth time in 6 tries. Mike McDonald is either defense coordinator in Baltimore or head coach in Seattle. Right. Fifth time in 6 tries, he's held the Niners to 17 points or less. So obviously he's got the personnel and a bead on what they want to do. But Pat, we got 10 more minutes till we break. Knock yourself out. Keep going.
Yeah, I got lots of more because I got to deal with 4 hours, not 40 minutes. Things that are on my mind. Seattle's defense, they are good. And they didn't really have great support from their quarterback. And I think Mike is so brilliant. He doesn't ask the quarterback to be the feature player. What a unique idea. Don't ask him to be the feature player. Going for it on 4th down. The losing team's 5 of 12. The winning team's 3 of 4. You could make a case, well, you know, but it's always about Chicago. The guy who probably told Dan Campbell, go for it, go for it. They went for it again, 6. They were 2 of 6 last week, 3 of 6 this week. I don't get it. But at the end of the day, as always, I don't care what year you want to talk about, turnovers are the difference. The losing teams gave the ball away 17 times, and the winning teams gave the ball away 4 times. And there's the story of football right there.
You know, and we'll get into some of the controversies, but Pat, kind of where you started of taking advantage, you know, the one thing great coaches do, and they all do it, but you know, Buffalo lost a corner in the game. They put a backup corner. What's Denver do? They go right at him. I mean, it is amazing. You know, I know you listen to your show I listen to your show and you're open when you talk about they've got tape on everything. These coaches know when a backup gets the good ones know, and I think they all do it. But man, do they attack a deficiency quickly.
Sure, and Hairston didn't play. And he was called the fastest corner they had. And they were using him quite a bit during the season, and then he was unavailable 2 weeks in a row. So you're now looking at the 4th corner when what's his name comes in the game.
Savage, Jackson. I think it was, right?
It was Dana Jackson, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and you know, did you see him on the sideline after it? He knew they were coming. My point is, when you know you're the other side, you're putting Jackson in the game. You got to play some roll coverage and protect the guy. You can't leave him out there as a normal corner because he'll just take them deep.
Well, also, and I thought Sean Payton did not have the best of days calling plays and did not try to run the ball enough, etc. But as Mark pointed out, and you reiterated, not just at cornerback, but I believe he had 2 plays where they played the last 2 safeties that they'd ever want to put on the field, and they scored touchdowns on both plays.
Yep. Roster depth counts, and not everybody has it, and it's sometimes impossible to get if you don't have cap space and etc. But the guys who work at that part of it can survive a lot of weird things on the football field. So it was a great weekend of it. Seattle, I think, and now we've lost the quarterback in Denver. That kind of takes the shine off the AFC Championship game. I'm just going to say it. The Patriots, with that defense of theirs, we love talking about Houston defense, but they don't have a complimentary offense. But Denver is dealing with a team that has a complimentary offense, and that quarterback in New England, he's a mistake maker because he's young, but it doesn't seem to affect him. And we talked about this the other day. He's had a lot of games where he got sacked a bunch and still won the game. So I talked to Coach Cowher after the game, and I said, and this is to you guys, tell me if you think I'm crazy. I said, Bill, Mike Vrabel is the reincarnation of you. Playing defense, running the ball, and not and you know, Bill was the guy who used to stand outside the locker room and shake hands with every player when they came in. I see Mike does it all the time now. So it was just fun to see coaching style. And I like Big Mike in New England a lot.
All right. You mentioned Drake May in that offense. He fumbled it 4 times. They only lost 2. I mean, Denver's defense is no slouch. He cannot put the ball on the turf like that, Pat.
No, he can't. And I'm sure they understand that, but Denver's going to be playing with a guy who has 4 career starts. So that neutralizes all mistakes. It almost makes the mistakes go away because they're going to make a bunch of them themselves. Don't you think New England's defense is going to get after him? I mean, it's not a level playing field anymore, and there's no miracles coming from Stidham.
Well, I will say, though, they're facing a much better offensive line than the 2 they just faced, to be perfectly honest with you. The Chargers were missing 3 starters, and Houston, between injuries and inadequacies, were missing at least 2. So I do think that New England will have a little harder time getting the penetration and the pressure on the quarterback against Denver than they've had the first 2 games, because they were clearly better up front than the people trying to block them.
I totally agree with you, but you just mentioned Sean Payton and his play calling decisions. What is he thinking now? That I can still run my offense? Or is he thinking, I got to hide my quarterback just like Seattle hides theirs?
Well,
and I think listen, if they get a sense of that he's hiding the quarterback, then it's stuff to run.
Well, I'll say this, and I say this with affection. I really do, because I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the game. But Sean is very arrogant, and Sean thinks very highly of Sean. I don't know how much Sean's going to alter the game plan, because I think Sean thinks he can beat anybody as long as he's the one calling the plays.
I like Sean a lot, but I'll agree with you.
All right, Pat, let's get to the big controversy of the weekend, if you think it was. Catch or interception? And, Pat, I didn't have a problem with it being ruled an interception. The problem I had is that we're in overtime, and they were ready to just play. There was no review. This is a turnover. We're supposed to look at these things. We look at everything in this league, seemingly, and in 13 seconds, we're ready to snap the ball. I was baffled by that. Take me through it as you watched it live and what you thought.
Yeah, I must have had a 45-minute conversation with Boomer Esiason yesterday morning. And I can tell you that I thought it was a catch. And what happened to, Boomer brought up something interesting. The historian David will remember this. It was, he said 87, and they had a play very similar that was ruled like this one. And then he said at the owners' meetings, the next year they ruled all ties go to the receiver. So this receiver caught the ball and went to the ground. His knee was on the ground. It was over. And they went to their favorite parachute. He didn't have control of the ball. Yes, he did. He had control of the ball. So I vote that was a catch. And I'm suspicious when everything happened, Mark, like you just said, getting ready to roll right through it. Nope, was disappointed in that officiating part of it. Then the inconsistency on defensive pass interference. They don't call defensive pass interference on that late play to the end zone by Buffalo. And they don't, because the guy got beat and he ran back and caught up and held him. They don't call it, fine, let him play. Then, I got the funniest text on the end of the game. Well, they realized they held the second game for 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden, the second game starting, they had to get that thing over with. DPI, you're out of here. Nice trip home. Which also leads me back to forcing these guys to play on 4 days rest and a flight. Josh Allen is a wonderful competitor, but the guy had about 130 offensive plays in 6 days. It's insane. You don't do that. They made sure those wild cards weren't going to beat those number one seeds.
Well, and in a way, I have no problem with the number one seeds getting every advantage possible. For what it's worth, you and I both thought it was a catch and down by contact. What is interesting, though, is that every official, and the officials who thought they got it right are adamant that they got it right. They all say the same thing, Pat. They saw it as he didn't possess it and it was ripped away from him. They saw it as he was bobbling it and the ball was almost off his chest and the DB then just grabbed it. You and I saw it the same way. He had it. He's got it. He's falling and rolling on the ground, and the DB just ripped it away from him.
Well, by time he rolled, it was already a catch. That's the
down.
problem.
Right.
And when he rolled, he took it out. But, I don't care who you hire on the networks. You know who I love? I love listening to Troy. I love listening to even Romo. When the officials that work with them say something ludicrous like that, those guys are polite. They go, really? You think so, huh? Yeah, they know. If we went back and watched film from the 60s and 70s, we'd say a lot of these things weren't catches on these rules. But I've had enough. Will they ruin the Super Bowl? They're good at it. They might.
It's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. He joins us twice a week during the season, courtesy of Pinchers. From Tampa to Key West and a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. More with Pat on the other side here on Miller and Moulton.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Ba-dum-ba-dum-bum. Ah, yes, Mark.
Yeah, Pat, I did something I don't normally do, and now I got to start doing more of. I was ready to really break down the Bills game. In the end, you didn't need. I was like you. I had like 4 pages of notes, and the 2 things I was paying attention to throughout the game that ended up not mattering. One of them was all the missed tackles by the Bills early in the game. I thought that would come back and bite them, but I was trying to keep track of quarterback first down runs in the game. That was my other big stat that you've got me on now.
Yeah, well, move the chains with your feet 3 times a game. You're gonna.
And I know you probably don't count the sneaks as part of it, but you kind of.
No, but you should. But first off, do you see all the modification to the tush push now?
Yeah.
They're all running angle runs and everything else. They're going to the bubble, which was how Brady did it. They had 4 calls for theirs. Jim was on the team, and he goes, "Look, they got 4 calls."
Is it verbiage or is it a pat to the ass? Do you know what I mean? Like, is the quarterback?
They look at every front and they know where the bubble is. So he's going to go to the bubble, and they know how to block it, and that's why Brady was able to do it on the quick count. They went up there. If you ever think when they get a big chunk play, they'd run up for the sneak. They'd look at the front, and all of them would know where it was. They had 4 different blocking calls, and they would just go on the first sound. It was perfect, and they never needed to push Brady, and he's a stiff. That was amazing.
Yinzer, I'd have to assume that they would have overturned the call. If they ruled it a catch live, I have to assume they would have overturned it. And
yeah, well, isn't that sad? Let's put the blame where it belongs, on everybody over there. Okay. This was said, I've said it on this show before, and it's been said to me by Mike Pereira. These officials have been trained to look for DPI, not OPI. They never call it. You get 1 or 2 a game, it's like radical. It's so sad. And the offensive players know. You made a great point when I was listening, David, and I said it to you guys not as a joke, but it was just because a coach said it to me. Yeah. What's your best play in 2-minute drill? And he said pass interference. They do. They throw the back shoulder fade to get the DPI. Things are pretty sad when you can program your passing game to force a defensive pass interference, because they know they're going to get it every time. Yeah. Oh, you know what? You guys, I hope you watch them as much as I do, but I think that kid, Eman Wari in Seattle, is a bad man. That guy, I talked to Mike about him a lot, and he's like, yeah, he can do anything. He can line up as the nose tackle. I said, what? He goes, the guy can line up anywhere. He doesn't know anything except being able to get rid of blockers and make plays, and he can cover too. So they never even have to get out of their defense for any situation.
Well, and I will say that is part of why Houston's defense is so good. They're in the nickel, okay?
But they're big nickel.
Big nickel, and, the one safety can cover the slot, and he can come up and defend the run. And that's very valuable.
Yeah. That's what Pete thought he was getting in Jamal Adams, but then he found out he couldn't cover.
He couldn't run, right?
He was just a blitzer. Well, tell me how you see the NFC game going now. Third time.
I want to get it. I'm because Stafford was not good yesterday.
No.
at all.
No, late he did it. You know, he had his.
Right, but he
looked
missed
like
a
Stafford
lot
in
of
the
guys
overtime.
that were wide open yesterday.
Yeah,
Wide
he
open.
was, yeah. So I'd like to believe the cold didn't bother him, but it sure looked like it did.
It did to me.
Me too.
Now, I mean, obviously, that's the crowd that you're playing against. The noise there is as good as any or as loud as any in the league, too.
Yeah.
I didn't think they ran it enough either.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan from NFL Radio's Moving the Chains and CBS's NFL Today show. All our guests join us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. Pat is sponsored specifically by the good folks at Pinchers, from Tampa to Key West and all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. All right, off the field quickly. Harbaugh's official with the Giants. Your buddy Stefanski ends up with Atlanta. Your thoughts about Stefanski and the Falcons?
I'm so happy for him. He was the second choice, to my knowledge, at the Giants. The first choice wanted the job. So I think Matt Ryan was very happy that Kevin was available to come to Atlanta. I know both guys, the new president and the coach, very well. They're going to get along. They've known each other a long time, both Philly guys. And Kevin's dad was a GM in the NBA, as you guys know, and I think Matt knew him. The comfort levels there. He is going to keep the defensive coordinator. He's got to go through all the procedures with the OC, because there's a requirement there with the Rooney Rule. If all things go the way I think, then Tommy Reese will join him, who was just with him in Cleveland.
All right, back to the field and the Bears and Rams. It will go down as one of the best 14-yard throws in the history of the game to force overtime. You know, Pat, I'm just curious your thoughts, because heading into the season, there were a lot of questions on Caleb. I think he's answered a lot of them. I still think there's obviously a lot of room to grow. But when you now go to 26, aren't those same questions there for C.J. Stroud? I mean, he was awful the last two games, Pat.
He's been awful since after his rookie season. He had a great rookie season, as we all remember. We all, I'll just use me as an example, raised the bar for what was the potential there. And he has not even lived up to his rookie season. They blamed the OC last year and fired him. And the new guy came in, and I remember talking to you guys after 2 or 3 weeks of football. Weren't they 0-3 to start?
Right.
They were.
Yeah, and it looked a lot like the old one. So maybe it wasn't the coach. But the quarterback looks to me like it's troubling to him. Tell me what the body language was on the sideline when you watched him. I think he was shaken, and I think he's having a hard time with the psychological factors of football. And I think when he's down on himself that much, I think he knows it's him, and there's nowhere else to blame right now. So it's a major issue going forward.
But they really have 2 years to fix this, right? I mean, you're not bold enough if you're Nick Caserio to not pick up his fifth-year option, are you?
No, they always pick it up, and then they give him a deal. Here's the question. Is this going down the path of Tua? An injury history and a shaky production, but when in doubt, throw the money at him and hope it gets better.
Well, it's different, though. You know, the Dolphins signed Tua to big money, and Tua was on the ascend 3-4 years into his career. CJ's going the other way. I mean, I think it's easy. You pick up his fifth year, so he'll be under contract for 26 and 27, and then you can either walk, you could tag him, or you work out a deal. But to me now, he's on the clock. He's got 2 years.
Right. And my question is, how many clubs walk from a first-round pick that won earlier on? To me, it turns into Tua. They knew when they were doing that deal with Tua, the guy did not run that whole year. He was not going to get hurt until he made his money. And then when he made the money, he just realized, I'm not running anymore anyway. You remember I think he had like 2 first downs running the year of the contract negotiation. Wasn't going to do it. I think they got a problem there. And I think, we talk about windows. How long is that defense going to look that good?
Correct. Right there with you.
How long are you going to wait till you decide to walk away from this kid Stroud before you go get the next guy? I'll ask David. You like to be the GM, David. You're gonna put the option on him and draft a quarterback? Because that's what I'd be doing.
Well, I don't think I'd do it this year. It's not a great quarterback draft class, and I'm too close that I want to use every pick to make my team better for 26. But I think it's simple. If he doesn't have a really good year next year, then in the next offseason, we're planning on replacing him.
Right. While he's on the option, we're getting ready for the future. Can't wait till it's over. Then you get stuck with nothing. It's a tough business, and it can turn on all of it. It could turn on Drake May. It could turn on every one of these guys. You know what? I'll ask Mark this one. Mark, what about the quarterback who I love in Washington? Is he heading towards a Stroud experience?
Well, we all love him. We were all taking him before Caleb, and I certainly hope not. But you're right that you have to have those questions entering the season, because when he was healthy, he didn't play that well this year. So there's a lot of questions. You're right. Well, let's talk about a guy that some people think is going to go to Canton. Matt Stafford yesterday. Was it the cold? Was it the thumb? Because he was bad yesterday. I know he got it together on the drive and they got the win. But, 20 of 42 for the game, Pat? That's terrible.
Yeah, it was. I would say, and I don't have the desire to throw an excuse in it, but I thought the weather did bother him. And I do think the reality of what he was dealing with, I thought he didn't handle it very well. But then as the game got heated up, I thought a lot of guys started to play better when they were warmed up, which leads me to that field. Green Bay has a heated field. Did you see the thing called Chicago, the Parks District? I struggle sometimes with facilities, but I'm not taking anything away from it. I thought Stafford played poorly. He'll play better this week.
By the way, I'm just throwing this out there. In a few years, all right, I guess New England will still have it be like this, but in a few years, in theory, that Bears game is going to be indoors. That Broncos game we just saw is going to be indoors. Is that what we want? And I'm serious. Is that what we want? Would we rather just have the field be great, the conditions be great, and this way injuries and footing are not impacted by the conditions? Because that's what we're moving to in the next 5 years in a lot of places.
I know. It was amazing. Only one true indoor team made the Final 8 here, right? Houston. Everybody else is a rugged outside team, except maybe the LA teams with that facility. But their weather's never going to be bad there. I don't care what we want. I hear this occasionally. What we're paying for the tickets, especially when you get to these championship games, and what the scalping price, they don't want to be sitting out in the snow. Now, Buffalo just built an outdoor one. They think it's a competitive advantage. I don't know. Maybe it is.
Buffalo's, the concert thing notwithstanding, because that's the other part of it, that whether it's the concerts, Final Fours, things of that nature, you're not getting those in an outdoor stadium. And whether these owners are paying any of it or some of it themselves, the money they're getting, they need to use these facilities for more than 10 home games.
I agree with that. And the concerts and the big basketball tournaments and March Madness, if you're not attracting that stuff, I don't know what you're doing to get things right. I see New England. I'm up there enough to tell you that every time I go up there in the summertime, they're just rolling out stages. It's a concert every night. And when there's no concert, there's a soccer game, and they're outside and they just keep doing it. But I think your question, David, about is that what they want? It's what the fans want. And I do think people, and I do hate this concept, we got to take care of the casual fan. Well, what does that mean? He doesn't really love football, but he's willing to pay a lot of money to see a game? I'm not a big fan of that.
By the way, Diana Rossini a few minutes ago just posted that the Texans are still not back to Houston, that they stayed overnight and their plane was delayed getting out of Boston, and they're still not back, and they're not quite sure when they're going to get back. It is snowing right now. I will tell you that in Boston, and it's sticking.
Yeah, it's where I am. It snowed last night, maybe 4 or 5 inches. So,
Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio Move the Chain, CBS's NFL Today show here on Miller and Moulton.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With the newest slots, action-packed table games, sports betting, the hottest entertainment, and a variety of award-winning restaurants. Expect more with live craps, roulette, and blackjack 24/7. And over 1,400 of the most popular slot machines. This is the place where paradise never ends. This is Seminole Casino Hotel. Minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I was going to have fun there. We ran out of time. Do you know who else is in Boston? That would be you, David.
Yes, that is true, Mark.
And
That
you're
is
not
true.
flying private.
No, I'm not.
Indiana legislators line up Bears stadium bid. The governor is in on trying to bring the Bears to Indiana. Uh-oh.
It'll be something when they play in Kurt Signetti Stadium.
You know, I'm really learning the art of remembering the LOL at the end of text to emphasize sarcasm.
Oh my God, I just am going through a whole slate of texts with two other guys, and we're all having to make sure that, we're letting us know which ones are and which ones aren't. So very quickly, there's one guy on the crew. He's got like the final say over graphics. He's anyway, he gives out handwritten cards at the end of the year. He writes like 25 cards up.
Wow. My wife would be impressed.
But I think there are certain people in his circle that probably deserve cards. Myself and Bill and Ed in the booth, we don't deserve cards. We don't have a ton of interaction with them. Just a little bit at a production meeting. We can talk to them on the headset once or twice during the game if we have a question or for something. Okay. The three of us would never think of getting each other cards. Never mind him.
Right.
And of course, last game of the year, what did we all get yesterday? We got cards. Right. So you can only imagine how snarky the three of us were all day yesterday, quoting what was in the cards to each other.
Oh, you guys are special.
And in front of everybody last night, I just said, listen, I'd like to, tell you all how much I appreciate working with you all and have a great off season. And so looking forward to next year already. Okay. Bill and Ed knew exactly what I was saying. Everybody else thought I was genuine.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Well, the snow is sticking, Mark. I will say that Diana Rossini post has gotten my attention. I'm like,
Help me out here, David. You mentioned that Diana Rossini posted that the Houston Texans are still in Boston to fly out today. Who else do we know that's still in Boston expecting to fly out today?
Well, that's me. That would be me.
And you have to make a flight and catch another because, well, you're not in a city that has 4 direct flights to where you go home like you used to.
Right. So, yes, I have to hit a connector in D.C., but supposedly the weather in D.C. is fine. So it's just a matter of in 6 hours, my flight's pretty much scheduled to leave Boston. Can I get out of here? All right, we'll see. We'll see. Apparently the Texans still not home yet. Okay. According to Diana Rossini.
Push comes to shove, get a direct to RSW. You can stay with me tonight. I know there's a few direct flights all day from Boston to here.
Yes.
This is such people have no idea what an a-hole move this is by me right here.
That's
because
okay.
David has moved to Jacksonville, and it is difficult to get in and out of Jacksonville on flight, much more so than it is to RSW, where David used to live.
Yep. That's okay. We could tell the Texans the same thing. Fly to RSW. They have directs to Houston.
They have directs everywhere on that plane, though. And they ain't leaving right now. So that is not
they're
good.
not. Huh. That's interesting. All right. Not going to be weather impacted tonight. Hard Rock Stadium. Canes, Hoosiers. Wow. Think about that. Think about some of the crazy stuff we've had in college sports in the last handful of years. All right. We had FAU in the Final Four in men's basketball. We have Indiana playing for the national title as the number 1 team in the country, undefeated. Heisman Trophy winning quarterback who grew up right next to where the Canes play. I think the onus is on Miami. I think Indiana just feels we're going to go out and play our game, and it's good enough. It has been all year. Why would it not be tonight? I think, Mark, the Canes need to play the Ohio State game. Remember how in that game they opened it up a little bit offensively, but not necessarily with a ton of deep balls, but they just threw the ball a touch more because they didn't necessarily feel they could win the game just by running and controlling the line of scrimmage. And that to move the chains, we're probably going to have to throw some short and intermediate passes, and then we'll pound the run, and over time, our line of scrimmage will win out, and they did. I think that's the game they have to play against Indiana. Beck's got to be accurate early in the game so they can move the chains. And Mark, they're the boxer that wants it to go the distance. They want to get inside and get to the body. But to do that, you got to get a first down.
And David, to your point, that will give Beck. How do you get a quarterback confident? Well, you throw passes that he can make that are simple reads that do what you just said, move the chains. And a lot of this is going to be on the O coordinator from Miami. There are a lot of people that I know that are Canes fans that have had a big problem with how he calls games. They've got to call a great game tonight. Let me ask you this, because Miami is being touted as having two great lines, both offensive and defensive. Now, we know that both lines will have to play well, really well, to win this game.
Sure.
Which line has more pressure on it? Miami's O-line or Miami's D-line?
D-line. Mendoza has more touchdowns than incompletions. No, I think the pressure is Miami. I think, Mark, they have to do something to Indiana that's yet to be done with them. And that's get them in a game. I think the best way to get them in a game is to do exactly what Miami did to Ohio State. What did Miami do for the first 25 minutes of that game? They suffocated Ohio State. Ohio State was like, we can't even get a first down. These guys are unbelievable. What the heck? And that's what, remember, it only happened the very first possession of the playoff. Alabama played man. They were aggressive going after Mendoza. They got 2 sacks on the first series. Indiana went to the sidelines, made some adjustments, dominated them. To me, if you're asking what line of scrimmage, I think Miami's defensive line needs to create some doubt with Cignetti, the OC, Mendoza, that offensive line. They've manhandled everybody. All right. I think they need to create some doubt. They need to tell Indiana, tonight is different, boys. You're in a different league than the one you've been playing in.
Do you think, and I think they should, I'm curious what you think, how much pace Indiana plays with? Because Miami's defense is really good, and they were able against A&M and against the Buckeyes to control pace. Indiana, your boxing analogy is terrific. They want, Miami wants this to be an old school 15-round heavyweight fight. Indiana would rather it be a fast-paced welterweight fight, if you know what I mean. How does Miami defensively control the pace at which Indiana plays? Because when Ohio State figured it out in the third quarter, that was the only time they really figured it out. They had a little pace going, and they were able to do some things to Miami. That was it. But Ole Miss was able to move the ball. Indiana's had 2 games where they didn't score this year. Iowa and the Big Ten championship against the Buckeyes. That's the game the Canes want. I know Indiana won both of those, but that's the style of game that the Hoosiers need. How does Miami do that to Indiana's offense?
Well, if you don't give them the first down, I mean, not to be cliche, but that's how you get the pace going. You get that first down, and then you don't huddle. I think, by the way, you hit on something. I think Indiana is going to play with pace early in this game. I think Indiana wants to tire out that defensive front.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now here's the thing. I don't know that Miami has to substitute very much. Alabama defensively was a zone team who tried to play man, and they weren't comfortable doing it. Oregon's DBs couldn't handle Indiana's receivers. I think Miami's DBs can handle Indiana's receivers. But I think Indiana will test them, and they will test them early.
And so much has been made of Mendoza, and the throws have been incredible. I'm interested. David, if you're right, then I like Miami and the points. If their DBs can handle the Indiana receivers, remember what Bud Elliott said on our show last week. And I know it wasn't a game, but on contested catches, Indiana was 5 of 5. How will they be against the Miami D-backs tonight?
Remember,
I think that's the game within the game, David.
Canes without one of their starting corners. The targeting foul in the second half against Ole Miss. By the way, hated the call. Didn't think it was targeting. The Miami DB went very low, and the Ole Miss wide receiver crumpled to the ground so that there was contact made to the head. I also don't think he targeted the player. I just think that the helmets made contact with each other. When they first started with targeting, it was the crown of the helmet, and we all know what they were talking about. Directed, when tackling, using your head as a weapon, tackling with the crown of your helmet and hitting the other player in the head. Not wide receiver goes low, DB goes low, they happen to make some contact with each other. That's what they called targeting. I was shocked they didn't overturn it live. I'm even more shocked that, quite frankly, over the last 10 days, somebody didn't step in and go, yeah, that's not targeting. The kid can play the whole game. But that's the case.
So, from a coaching standpoint, how much of an edge do you think Indiana has?
Oh, significant. I mean, Cignetti's proven it. He's a terrific in-game coach. Even though Mario's and the Canes have been much better during the playoffs, I mean, Mario's not. So, no, I think it's significant.
I do too.
The other thing that's significant to me, and even though Miami was in a close game with Ole Miss and won, and they were in a close game with Ohio State and won, and they were in a close game with A&M and won, and Miami, although it's going to be 2-1 Indiana in the stands. This isn't like when Miami used to play Oklahoma and Nebraska in the Orange Bowl, and the place was a sea of Canes. That ain't going to be the case tonight. Indiana's getting all the other tickets. It's going to be 2-1 Hoosiers. But I think Indiana, we talked about it going into the playoff. They were tied in the fourth quarter at Iowa. They were trailing in the fourth quarter at Penn State. They were tied in the fourth quarter at Oregon. They were in a tight game throughout against Ohio State. Against the better teams on their schedule. None of them at home, by the way. And obviously they won them all. But if you're Miami, you at least, Indiana hasn't been in a fight since the Ohio State game, really.
Well, and that's the other thing that's been in my brain for a while now. Indiana's played virtually 2 perfect games in the playoffs. I mean, everything about the Alabama game was perfect. Oregon made Indiana perfect in the semi. Can Indiana be perfect 3 times? Do they have to be?
I don't think they do, but I think they have to be at least a B+. What I'm curious about is that Indiana gets stronger as the game goes on. They've proven that by winning all those close games. Like, they dominated the fourth quarter at Oregon. Dominated it. But, Mark, in theory, Miami's guys are 35 pounds bigger up front than Indiana's guys. I mean, it's 330 going against 290. And if it's a close game and Miami can hand the ball to Fletcher, is IU going to hold up? I mean, it's mano to mano, man, and you're bigger than me. This is a problem for me. My speed advantage is gone. We're 3 hours into this. That's what I'm curious about. Okay, is Miami better equipped for the fourth quarter? Oregon wasn't physically superior to Indiana, but Indiana went toe-to-toe with Ohio State. It's not like Miami's more athletically gifted than the Buckeyes.
David, the other thing is that there's good Carson Beck and there's bad Carson Beck. But in his brain right now should be good Carson Beck. Maybe the best drive of his life was to beat Ole Miss. Can that start them off? Like we talked about, some easy throws for Beck in the first quarter. But I don't see either team wiltering in the fourth.
I just
and to your point about pace, if Miami can control the pace, will the size advantage matter as much in the fourth quarter if it's a game that doesn't get to a bunch of plays, or will that give Miami and their size an advantage late?
I just hope we have a fight. Seriously.
Me too.
I mean, Indiana's been Tyson-like. We don't think of them that way, but they have. They've been Tyson-like in how they've dismantled. They've been in 4 close games, and then they've destroyed everybody else.
Who would have thought Miami has to be Buster Douglas? So the national championship tonight, the Canes are getting 7.5. We've put it up for our poll question today, and we actually did it with the points. A couple of poll questions. Interception or catch? 73% of you saying catch. When it comes to the game with the points, it's very close. A little over 53% of you taking Miami plus the 7.5. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. If you do not subscribe to X and want to chime in, you can always text us on the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. 21,000 is the number. If you've never texted before, the keyword is Miller. Miller and Moulton on an Overreaction Monday. The Diamond District Bonus Hour is next.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Spring training is a big win for Lee County. Beginning next month, we will proudly host the Boston Red Sox and Minnesota Twins right here in Southwest Florida. It's more than great baseball. It's jobs, visitors, and $69 million in tourism impact for our local economy.
Get your tickets at redsox.com and twins.com. Be part of something that strengthens our community. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This is coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
Our wedding band event is back at the Diamond District, January 24th and 25th.
Standout designers from Crown, A-Jappy, and Viraggio.
2 days only, 20% off designer pricing.
Diamonds, gold, or platinum. One of a kind or perfectly simple. We make it personal and easy.
20% off, January 24th and 25th. Only at the Diamond District. Se habla español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I had to laugh, David. This is the world we live in. A person that I'm friends with on social media posted something about Martin Luther King being, the best person about peace and whatever, but finished it with saying, unfollow me if you disagree. Boy, that certainly shares the sentiments of what you're trying to prove there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's hysterical to me. Even though, boy, this place is a ghost town with, obviously with what's going on here, they got no one's here today. I've had the door open all day.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour on this Overreaction Monday, which just happens to be the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. I think the two big questions of the day, one is from the weekend that just came and went in the NFL, the controversial play in overtime, Buffalo-Denver. How did you see it? Catch or interception? And then we've got a national championship game tonight. Miami. Whew, been a long time. And Indiana. We never thought we would say that. In football? Wow. Tonight. Going to be a great story either way. Either the U is fully back, and if so, look out, college football. Look out.
I will say, if you get a moment, and I know people don't watch shows live the way they once did, and I didn't, and saw the highlights of it or the clip of it yesterday, but Michael Irvin's sideline antics have been so good that SNL on Weekend Update had a fake interview with Michael Irvin.
On the sideline?
No, he was in studio, in which
Gotcha.
he said he had to leave for the game right after this interview, in which Michael Chase said, but the game's not until Monday. He said, yeah, but I'm running to the game. And based on traffic now being in New York, it should take me 6.5 hours. It's fantastic. Go take a look. Got this text right before the break, David. I want to share it. Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, by the way, 21,000 is the number. Last time the Canes lost by 7 or more was 2023. Didn't happen this year in their 2 losses. Didn't happen last year in their 3 losses. Hasn't happened since the 2023 season. And you would help me better here. Tyler Van Dyke was the QB. So I'll take this gentleman's word for it. But I did double check the scores during the break. That's a fact. I believe it was NC State the last time the Canes have lost by more than 7. Little fun fact for you there, if you plan on enjoying this game for more than just entertainment purposes only, because the spread is 7.5.
I think we can all agree, however, that this is the best opponent that Miami has played since ... But yeah.
No, I mean, since Ohio State, but they won that. But out of their losses, 100%, you're correct.
By the way, I did not bring this up earlier, and I'd like to apologize, but there is breaking news in the NFL. Mark, I don't know if you're aware, but the NFL has adopted college football's playoff format, okay, where when they get to the Final Four, if a team's starting quarterback is hurt, they are removed from the playoff and they are replaced by somebody else, preferably a traditional power. So to the Denver Broncos, congratulations on your season, but with Bo Nix's injury, they're out and the Pittsburgh Steelers are in. Okay, you know, with their heritage and their Super Bowl championships and what have you. So a la Florida State being out because their quarterback got hurt, the NFL saw that and said, you know what, that's a good way of going about it. So Bo Nix injury, Denver is out, and a team with heritage, you know, the Steelers, they're in. All right, the Steelers and the Patriots will now play for the AFC Championship. It's a little awkward. Pittsburgh doesn't have a coach. You know, the quarterback's on some island in the dark smoking, you know, I don't know, a bunch of Faluca or whatever. What was it?
Faluca, yes.
Faluca?
We'll go with Faluca.
What was he smoking there?
I don't know
Okay.
what he's. Are you talking about Rogers, the ayahuasca?
Yeah, didn't he go?
Ayahuasca wasn't smoking. I think you drink that, but I get what your point.
I don't know. I thought there was smoke, in the dark, and he was there for days. But anyway, it's just, the NFL saw what college football did a couple years ago, and they said, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, we're going to do that going forward. And so Bo Nix's ankle injury, Denver's out. They've been replaced by a team that's popular with heritage. Not quite good enough to make the Final Four, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, this is a TV show after all. So the Steelers will replace the Broncos and play the Patriots in the AFC title game. No?
Look at you. Look
Too
at
soon?
you.
Too soon? Too soon
No,
for
it's
an old
not.
fan? No?
And we've got one diehard Bronco who watches the show on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously, so he can talk about the Broncos for the entire 4 hours we're on the air every day.
Yes. Michael, congratulations. Yes.
You whatever you can do to continue to talk about one team for 4 hours, you keep it up. But and I feel badly for him because his team lost their quarterback. I feel badly for us, the football fan. I don't want a backup quarterback in the AFC Championship game. This Bo Nix story's been a good story.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of people and 2 radio show hosts here who did not think he was going to be a good NFL quarterback.
No?
I wasn't betting on Bo Nix to be a good NFL quarterback.
I wasn't either. So far, he is. Good for him.
And the ability for him to make plays with his legs has been a big part of who the Broncos are. And I get it. Sean Payton's a great coach. But this obviously, put it this way, it's only about, what do you think the Broncos would have been favored by if Bo Nix was playing?
3.5.
So
maybe 2.5.
So it's at least a 6.5, 7-point difference to the odds makers who opened the game with New England as a 4-point favorite. It has already been bet to 5.5.
Yeah. Don't you think a top 15 starting quarterback in the league versus a very inexperienced backup? He started 4 games.
And, a lot of you
that's worth a touchdown?
Right, a lot of you quickly point, well, what if Stidham take it? What if he does take it? It would be great. It'd be another great story. I'm not buying it. If he were that good, he would have started more than 4 games in his career. That's just a fact. I know there are so many of you that love the backup quarterback. Gary Danielson has told great stories over the years of his life as a starter and how much they wanted the backup to play. So I get it. Everybody loves the backup. There's a reason that they're backups.
Now, there have been some, like everybody's bringing, and Nick Foles, to his credit, by the way, he had a very funny, supportive post last night on X in which he said, listen, Denver fan, I get it. You're down. Couple things. First off, backup quarterbacks have shown up and won the Super Bowl. I know that firsthand. And secondly, New England historically has had trouble with the backup quarterback. I also know that firsthand. So you're in better position than you think. Good for Nick. All right. Tongue in cheek, having fun, etc. But Nick had been a starter in the league. Nick, remember, 4 years earlier was the Eagles starting quarterback, threw 27 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions. Jarrett Stidham has never been determined to be anybody else's starting quarterback. Mark, this would be Jeff Hostetler with the Giants.
And how long ago was that, David?
Well, that was 1990.
Okay. Hostetler started quite a few games before the playoffs, right?
Well, yes. Sims
Yeah.
got hurt. Hostetler started the final 2 games of the regular season and then the 3 playoff games. But before that stretch, Hostetler had been in the league 7 years. He had started, I think, 5 games. Ron Jaworski came off the bench 2 plays into an NFC championship game in the late 70s. Jaworski had started 2 games in his career. By the way, the Rams lost. The Giants, obviously, they won the Super Bowl. Part of that, historic game and run. Eagles in 2017 won. But it hasn't happened very often.
Right. And, particularly to me, when you go back to Hostetler, not as much Foles, but, back then it was a running game. Football was won by running the football and playing defense. That's not the game today. Put it this way, if Mendoza's brother was starting for Indiana, what would you think tonight about the Hoosiers?
That's fair. That's a fair comparison.
I think.
I mean, maybe Stidham is a little closer to Nix than Mendoza's brother is to, his other brother. But, I think that's in the ballpark. That's a good comparison. Don't you think, by the way, that's worth 7 points in the point spread?
Absolutely. To be honest, I wish I would have been able to go out and smartly get New England at 4.
Those making the comparison, Sean King stepping in really late for the Bucs. Yeah, they won the first playoff game 14-13, and they lost the NFC Championship game 11-6. Obviously, he wasn't doing much offensively, but he was playing with a historically great defense.
And the Denver defense is very good. They are. But to your point earlier, will Sean Payton coach the game the way that he has to for a backup quarterback? I think he will, but there's not a lot out there that says he operates that way.
I'll tell you what, the Denver defense better play a lot better. I mean, they better play a lot better. I mean, yeah, they forced the 5 turnovers, and give them as much credit as you want to on that. They forced the 5 turnovers.
The biggest one to me was the fumble on Cook in the first half. That was monstrous. And I know the interception turned it around, but they're going down to make that 14-3. That was big. Miller and Moulton, the Natty, the Canes, and the Hoosiers at Hard Rock tonight. We'll talk more about it next, Miller and Moulton. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit LeeCountyBusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Left Twix, Denver ran the ball 10 times that weren't runs by Nix. He ran 12, of which I think, I'd have to go back and look, I think 5 or 6 were sneaks.
Oh my God. Did the Bills just fire Sean McDermott?
Yeah. Rappaport. Ari, wow. That's what I'm seeing, David. Garofolo, Ari Miravoff, Rappaport. And like the Bills guys are reposted, like that Sal Capaccio that we have on the show reposted it. Schefter. Yeah.
That's 10.
I got a sounder. I got the breaking news sounder.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes after the hour. We don't get a lot of breaking news in this show, but when we get it, it often happens in the final hour of the show. From our ABC Sports studios in New York. I don't know why it's ABC and I'm doing Brokaw.
Thank you for that.
But it's the ABC news theme, so therefore it had to be the ABC studios. Even though this is Tom Brokaw reporting live from New York to let you know that the Buffalo Bills have just fired head coach Sean McDermott.
Wow. We wondered, we talked about it last week, if they lost, if that would be the case.
Yeah, but I thought it was if he lost to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So if it was ruled a catch, would he still have a job?
For another week. Sorry, I just had to.
Very nice there, Mr. Biscotti in
Thank you.
Baltimore. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, that's 10. That's 10. 2 of them happened during the year. So they still fired a quarter of the coaches after the season ended. Damn near getting rid of a third of the current head coaches.
What is this, the NHL?
The NHL thinks the NFL has gone mad. Also, let's talk about tenure. Tomlin had the most. He walked away. Harbaugh had the second most. He was fired. Andy Reid has the third most. He now has the most. Sean McDermott was, I believe, tied for second longest tenure. I mean, this is 3 of the top 5 tenured coaches in the NFL, 2 of them being fired, 1 walking away. And make no mistake, McDermott was the power player in Buffalo. McDermott brought the general manager there. McDermott had final say on personnel if there was a dispute. This is Pete Carroll being forced out in Seattle and then finally turning the keys over to John Schneider. It's worked pretty well with the drafting and Mike McDonald, obviously. But this is monster. So to repeat, Aaron Glenn keeps his job in the AFC East and Sean McDermott loses it. Just having a little fun there. Also, isn't that 7 of the 10 changes in the AFC? I mean, they damn near replaced half the coaches in a conference.
Right. By the way, the most stable conference of coaches keeping their jobs appears to be the AFC South.
Right. But then again,
I guess tied with the West because only Pete lost his job out West.
But then again, D'Amico Ryans and the Texans, the plane hasn't landed yet. And if I'm D'Amico and I'm hearing the news, I would circle for a while because obviously there's blood in the waters if you're an NFL head coach.
I don't know. If I'm D'Amico right now, I might want to go to Buffalo.
Damn.
Holy cow.
Damn. And people will fall all over themselves for the Bills job.
Right.
For the obvious reason. Okay.
Yeah, it's now. I mean, come on. Lamar, Josh, who do you want? I'll take Josh. This is a stunner, David. This one. But, you know, we played that clip earlier of McDermott where he's like, I'm back in Buffalo. I mean, was he not so subtly saying I need my job back? Did he know something we didn't? I don't know.
No, that was right after the game he said that. That was at the podium in Denver.
I know.
Wow. I mean, because that's everybody, right? I mean, they're all reporting it.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You know, Rappaport,
Schefter,
you know, you name it.
They're all reporting this.
Yeah. Huh.
They were the second winningest team in the NFL during his tenure there. And I do laugh at this because this is a stat that we've tried to explain to people is not that easy. And Schefter just posted this, but they were 8-8 in the playoffs. Yeah, they were 8-8 in the playoffs. Do you know how hard it is to go just 500 in the postseason? The Texans are 0-7 in the divisional round as a franchise. And David, the other side of this, you know, there have been a lot of years where there have been, I don't know about obvious, but there have been coaching candidates that we thought were going to get jobs. Well, John Harbaugh was the one guy. There's not obvious candidates for the Buffalo job right now.
Well, there's not obvious candidates for the Baltimore job or the Pittsburgh job. I mean, that's the thing also. And I know Baltimore went 8-9, but, you know, Buffalo had a bad year this year. They didn't win the division. Did they win 12?
Yeah.
Didn't they go 12-5?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
This is, and
only
obviously
4 teams won more games than them this year in the NFL, David. Denver, Seattle, New England, Jacksonville were the teams. Jacksonville 13-4. The other 3 I mentioned 14-3.
They obviously don't think he can get them over the hump. This just in. They've never had a coach get them over the hump, including the one who's in the Hall of Fame. Wow. That's That's onions. And I know the fan base is actually going to be pretty happy. All right. The most ardent Bills fan I know is going to do the happy dance. Mark, you said it in Pittsburgh. I mean, they danced in the streets damn near when Tomlin walked away.
Giddy. I mean, that was literally the word being used by Pittsburgh media. I don't listen to a lot of local radio shows. I might listen to a little Buffalo radio this afternoon. Wow. Didn't see this one coming. I really didn't.
Whew, whew, whew. And not only that, you don't see it very often when they win a playoff game. You do see it when they're one and done. It happens, usually every other year. But, oh my goodness. Sean McDermott fired in Buffalo, the winningest team in the AFC outside of the Kansas City Chiefs for a decade. And he's been there 9 years of it. Or has it been 10 years? I think it was 9. I think 2017 was
17.
his first year. Yeah.
17. I only know that because we just looked up the tenure, and there was that trio of guys hired in 2017.
Golly.
A stunner today in Buffalo.
Wow.
After losing a heartbreaker
again.
And I guess they're, at the end of the day, putting it on McDermott. I asked the question before the Jacksonville game. I didn't even think it today. Didn't even think it. Miller and Moulton. Holy Toledo.
Holy guacamole.
You got that right. We'll finish things up next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise at Seminole Casino Hotel. We're bringing you more. With real cards and real dealers 24/7. This is the place where the action never ends. Now you can bet on your favorite team, roll the dice on craps, or spin the wheel for roulette. We've got your game. Plus, the Zigzag Girls Blackjack Pit features nonstop excitement and free drinks while you play. This is Seminole Casino Hotel. Minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 to play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WILD.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Feeney, my man, what do I got to do to get with your guy there that you said was going to contact me? Help me out. Anything. If you could, send an email to both of us introducing me to that marketing person. That would be outstanding. I'll take it from there. And the GM, by the way, according to what I just read, they are retaining him to lead the coaching search.
Billy Bean.
Yeah. Brandon Bean, but yes.
Brandon Bean, sorry.
No. I only did that in case you say it when we come back.
No, I want to be corrected.
Oh, goodness, Feeney. Hang in there, buddy. Good luck to your mom. Holy guacamole. That's a stunner.
What, McDermott?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's whew.
The guy I played against on Saturday, you will like this, David, because he's our club president. I walked in after the match. Someone goes, how'd you do? I said, we overthrew the government. But he knows the tennis player, Pegula, really well and knows her husband. And it was fun. He's telling a story about asking, I did this. And what do you do? I work for this. And he's like, it dawned on me in that moment. Oh, you're the son-in-law. By the way, by days, Mike Vrabel is the longest tenured coach in the AFC East. He was hired 367 days ago.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Still reeling from the news in the last 20 minutes that Sean McDermott out in Buffalo. The 10th head coach replaced during the 2025 season and postseason thus far. I mean, I'd like to think that Sean Payton, Mike Vrabel, Sean McVay, Mike McDonald are safe. I mean, who knows? Maybe McVay finally walks away and does the TV gig. I'm joking, but not as much tongue-in-cheek as I would have been a half hour ago. Man, oh man. So very quickly, in the AFC, Buffalo and Miami in the East.
Right.
3 of the 4 in the North.
Right.
Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland. So that's 5. In the South, nobody, right? No, Tennessee. They got rid of their guy during the season. That's 6. And then Pete in Vegas at 7. So 7 in the AFC alone. And then the Giants, Atlanta, and Arizona in the NFC. Giants in Cleveland, Giants in Atlanta have filled their vacancies. There are 8 current vacancies. A quarter of the league does not have a head coach the week of the conference championship games. Wow.
And David, I saw this, so I don't know it to be fact. I did not have time to check it. But when's the longest tenured? Who's the next to Reed, we've kind of replaced the whole league here in about 3 years.
Well, let's see. McDermott was one of 3 coaches hired in 2017, right?
Right. And 2 of the 3, I believe, are still there.
Well, McVay is one of them, correct?
Right.
Who's the other? I mean, I hate to do it. We're all scrambling now, running, I mean, think about it. I mean, hell, the guy at Indianapolis has been there a long time. He's been there 4 years.
This is nuts.
Yeah. This is is
Shanahan
LaFleur?
and LaFleur. No,
Kyle-
Shanahan was 2017. So right now it goes Reed, Shanahan, LaFleur, and Zach Taylor.
Well, and McVay.
And McVay, I'm sorry, yeah. McVay and Shanahan from the 17 season, and then LaFleur and Taylor 3 years later, 2019.
Wow.
And think about it, there may be a retread or 2, but there aren't a lot of retreads out there to hire. Okay, Miami, we'll talk about it tomorrow. You want McDermott? Would you make that hire?
Did he do a bad job in Buffalo? No.
Is he the reason Josh Allen turned it over all day on Saturday?
I mean, if you want to say he's the reason he's holding them back from winning a Super Bowl, there are franchises out there that are like, oh, please get me into Buffalo's area code, winning 11 and 12 games a year and winning 1 playoff game every year. Please. I could handle half a decade of that.
We need another hour. Just kidding, David. Just kidding.
Whew.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Whatever. Let me fly through this. Roselle, New Jersey, first electric lighting system built by Edison, 1883. Today in 1940, the Three Stooges film, You Nazi Spy, was released with a great disclaimer. Any resemblance between the characters in this picture and any persons, living or dead, is a miracle. The PGA approves allowing black participants today in 1952. Lucille Ball welcomed her second child today in 1953. The TV show I Love Lucy, the Lucy Goes to the Hospital episode, was also off of this. It drew more viewers than any other television episode up to that date. 68% of the households watched CBS to watch the birth of little Ricky. If you're a Scrabble fan, it debuted today in 1955. That same day, the first presidential news conference filmed for TV happened during the Eisenhower administration. First episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show was filmed today in 61. Diggers' big win today in 74. Notre Dame beats UCLA 71-70 to end the Bruins' record 88-game win streak. Today in 77, it was colder in Miami than it was this weekend because snow fell in Miami, Florida. It is the only time in the history of that city that snowfall occurred. Reagan pardoned Steinbrenner for supplying illegal funds to Nixon's re-election campaign today in 89. The Winnipeg Jets were sold, clearing the way for them to move to Phoenix. That worked out well today in 96. Michael Jordan joined the Wizards as part owner and president of basketball operations today in 2000. El Chapo escaped from prison today in 2001, hiding in a laundry cart. The tuck game rule was today in 2002. Pats would win in overtime. The Bucks made their way to the Super Bowl today in 2003, dominating Philadelphia on the road 27-10. And today in 2013, the NHL season would begin after a 119-day lockout. Robert E. Lee, Edgar Allan Poe, Phil Everly from the Everly Brothers, Janis Joplin, Dan Reeves, Junior Seau, and hip-hop artist Mac Miller would have all celebrated birthdays today. Dolly Parton's 80, Paula Deen 79, Robert Palmer, Addicted to Love, he's 77. Katie Seagal from Married with Children is 72. So is Steve DeBerg, comedian Paul Rodriguez 71, Stefan Edberg 60, and Tommy Fleetwood and his hair are 35 years old. What did I miss, David?
No truth to the rumor that Sean Payton called Steve DeBerg. Okay, but Steve said, nope, I've got a pickleball tournament at the Villages. I have to pass. I mean, DeBerg seemed to be everywhere, right? He was the backup. He was the backup to Montana in two different places. I mean, it just seemed as if Steve DeBerg was, he was a backup to Marino in Miami. I mean, he played a very long time. Just one of those guys I thought Sean Payton might have called. No? Okay.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What do you got, Mark?
We go to California for the good, where Casey Caldwin, the branch manager at the San Diego County Library, opened a package to find a book that was sent back to the library. It was due 46 years earlier. She said she enjoyed the old book smell. It was due back May 20, 1980. A handwritten note, unsigned, you chicken blank. Sorry this is so late, with a hand-drawn smiley face.
I wonder what the fine is. I mean, it probably started at like a nickel a week, which would be $260 for a year. Let's just say that was for a decade. So they owed like $26 heading into the 90s. Okay, I'm just curious, what it would be going forward.
For the bad, we go to Charlotte County and the Waffle House that many of you have probably passed on I-75 on Kings Highway, where a juvenile entered the Waffle House on Saturday night, pulled out his gun, and fired shots.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Apparently, employees told him to leave, and he was not happy that he was told to leave, so he went out and got a firearm and made threats and fired the gun in the air to put him in fear. He has been accounted for and has been arrested, apparently, but he's a juvenile, so no other words out there. This man needs to be taught a lesson. I'm telling you right now. You don't fire guns at a Waffle House on a Saturday night. You're lucky you didn't get shot by 8 patrons. If you don't think half the people in the Waffle House at 2 a.m. on a Saturday are packing in the state of Florida, you're nuts. Don't interrupt scattered, smothered, covered, and chopped. I'm telling you right now, it's a damn mistake.
I mean, if you want to do it on a Tuesday, maybe.
Right, at noon. But Saturday night, are you nuts? Finally, the ugly. We go to Winter Haven, Florida, where this story makes me sick to my stomach, but it fits our show. A youth travel baseball tournament erupted in a bench-clearing brawl, leaving a 21-year-old umpire hospitalized. The umpire had the audacity to issue a verbal warning to the coach from one of the teams. The ump's dad was in the stands. One of the parents of the team who was reprimanded went up to the umpire and started threatening him. He then punched the ump's dad in the face. The ump went then to protect his father when the coach who was reprimanded came out and suckered the umpire. Players from the team, including the son of the guy who got in the initial fight, kicked the umpire while he was on the ground. The umpire was taken to the hospital for treatment. The father declined medical attention. 3 of the coaches, parents, etc., were arrested. Are you flipping kidding me? That is the good, the bad, and the ugly. On today, January the 19th, and it's brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department. CapeCops.com, that's where you go for information. New officers being looked for, great pay, great benefits, other jobs available, all information. CapeCops.com, that's CapeCops.com.
Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, always a big one in the NBA. Heat are playing Golden State tonight on the West Coast at 10 o'clock, but there are, I believe, 4 games on Peacock, if you're so inclined, beginning at 1 o'clock this afternoon, Milwaukee and Atlanta, 2:30, OKC and Cleveland. I'll bet at the beginning of the season, some thought that could be a finals preview. 5 o'clock in New York, Dallas and the Knicks. 8 o'clock in Detroit, Celtics and Pistons. So a big afternoon and evening in the association.
And I stand corrected. I gave Robert Palmer's birthday. He has passed. I apologize to Robert Palmer fans out there.
No ranked teams in action today or tonight in college hoop. Obviously, college sports, the big one, well, we'll talk about it here in a moment. NHL, busy. Martin Luther King Jr. Day as well. 10 games on the docket. 10. 1:30 and 4 o'clock, your TNT doubleheader. So they're trying to stay away from the college football national championship game. Buffalo and Carolina on TNT at 1:30. Washington and Colorado on TNT at 4 o'clock.
By the way, how about what Carolina did to Florida over the weekend? 9-1.
But then the Panthers came back and won the next night, and the Panthers are in action tonight. Actually, it's a 6 o'clock start. They asked the league, could they move it up an hour and a half? It'll still conflict a little bit with the Natty, but San Jose and the Panthers beginning at 6 o'clock. But yes, Mark, after getting drubbed 9-1, the Panthers went to D.C. and beat the Caps 5-2.
Yeah, Bobrovsky stayed in for all 9 goals in the loss, by the way, for what it's worth. He did not play the next game against Washington. Miller and Moulton. We'll recap the Natty tomorrow and see who gets fired next in the NFL. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit LeeCountyBusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local glass doctor for details.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With the newest slots, action-packed table games, sports betting, the hottest entertainment, and a variety of award-winning restaurants. Expect more with live craps, roulette, and blackjack 24/7. And over 1,400 of the most popular slot machines. This is the place where paradise never ends. This is Seminole Casino Hotel. Minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
Our wedding band event is back at the Diamond District, January 24th and 25th.
Standout designers from Crown, Ajapi, and Veragio.
2 days only, 20% off designer pricing.
Diamonds, gold, or platinum. One of a kind or perfectly simple. We make it personal and easy.
20% off, January 24th and 25th. Only at the Diamond District. Se habla español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.